It's Parents Weekend here in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Wolverine football players hoping to make their mothers and fathers proud today against Minnesota. Hello, everybody. I'm Mark Jones, along with Chris Spielman. Chris, last week, Michigan lost to Michigan State. An emotional, controversial loss. How devastating is that?
Well, it's devastating because they had a chance to win a conference game on the road, and they couldn't close the deal. Also, it was their in-state rival, which they always like to beat, but they're still in control of their own destiny.
T.J. Duckett of Michigan State ran for 211 yards against then the #1 rush defense in the country of Michigan. Minnesota runs the ball well, too.
Yeah, many people in the conference think Minnesota has the best rushing offense. First of all, you have Tellis Redmond, a guy over 124 yards a game and over 6 yards a carry. Also, a young freshman named Marion Barber, also over 6 yards a carry.
All right, they're poised for the upset right now. Let's go to the game day, gang, in Columbia, South Carolina.
We look forward to Purdue and Ohio State. A couple of teams offensively that have been a little bit unsteady. So, how do you see this one, Mr. Corso?
Well, I think the Buckeyes need to win this ball game to go to the sunshine and play in beautiful downtown Orlando in the Tangerine Bowl. And that sun is a great motivator in December, my friend, in Columbus. So I'm going with the Buckeyes. They win and go to beautiful downtown Orlando in the Disney World.
You know, the Buckeyes have come a long way when incentive is the Tangerine Bowl. Yeah. Boy, times have changed. Purdue is struggling right now on offense. They're last in the Big Ten in total offense. Last week, turned the ball over a number of times. And I think Brandon Hance against the Ohio State defense, I think he's going to create turnover. The Buckeye defense will create turnovers again. And the Buckeyes offense is starting to come together. I think Ohio State will win a good game.
You guys have not really gone out on a limb much today, but I know you got some upset specials.
Right.
Yeah, you want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first.
Ahead.
You know, Arkansas scored 100 points in the last 2 weeks. They had a 7 overtime win, and they're playing at homecoming UCF. Who? UCF. Well, last time UCF played a homecoming, they beat Alabama. So I'm going UCF upsets Arkansas in a big, big upset.
That would be huge. I'm going to give you another one. Last 10 times that Michigan State has been able to, last 5 times Michigan State's been able to beat a top 10 opponent, they've lost the next week. They play Indiana and Antoine Randall. The Hoosiers will upset the Spartans today after their big win last week against Michigan.
That's good upsets.
Time now for this game here tonight. All of these people have been so good and so warm and so hospitable.
Yes.
They're excited. It's the biggest home game in the history of the program. These folks are dying to know who you gentlemen predict who's going to win this game tonight. So, Tony, you go first.
I get to go first. Thanks a lot. Okay, listen, I've said it for years. South Carolina's got the best fans in all of America. But for all of the talk about Florida's big-time offense, it will be the defense that will be the story in this game tonight. Kurt, Florida gets it done and moves on in the SEC East.
I look at this football game and I look at the crowd and the atmosphere being a huge factor in keeping South Carolina in this football game. Their defense holds the key to the game. They've got to be able to step up and make plays and make Steve Spurrier be patient. But I think the difference is Florida's defense as well. I think the Gators come into South Carolina and win a close game.
Boom! Boom. Give me that thing.
Oh, here comes the headgear. So it's but. Florida wins. We have been rude guests. So I say the Gamecocks. I give them a shot. Let's go South Carolina. We thank the people. It's been wonderful. It's time now for some football here. Purdue and Ohio State on ESPN. Michigan, Minnesota on the Deuce.
It's Parents Weekend here in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and this is the 75th anniversary of Michigan Stadium, the big house. When it was originally built, it held just 70,000 people. Now it swells to well over 100,000 rabid fans, and now one of the great notable bands and notable songs in college football. ESPN2 College Football today presents a Big Ten clash between the 3-5 Minnesota Golden Gophers and their arch rivals, Michigan, ranked number 13 at 6-2. Hello, everybody. I'm Mark Jones. It has been a very emotional, tumultuous week here in Ann Arbor. Emotions running all the way from anger to frustration, and here's why. Last week against Michigan State, the Wolverines held a tenuous lead late in the game, 24-20. Then Jeff Smoker of the Spartans spikes the ball, stopping the clock with just 1 second to go. On the ensuing play, Smoker rolls out to his right, throws back to the left, hits Duckett in the end zone, and the Spartans escape with a 26-24 victory. Now, Chris Spielman, the coach, Lloyd Carr, took the high road. He said his team deserved better, but how did they recover from that loss?
Well, how do you recover? First of all, how do you respond in practice? And Lloyd Carr said his team responded great this week. It takes senior leadership. 2 seniors to watch would be Marquise Walker, in my opinion, the best wide receiver in the country, and he's a complete football player. He runs, he blocks, and he makes a tough catch. Then you have Larry Foote on defense, a guy that's about ready to break the tackles for loss record for the University of Michigan out middle linebacker. That's an amazing stat.
Minnesota comes into the game with a 3-5 record overall, but don't be fooled, folks. Glenn Mason is a master motivator of players, and history dictates that his teams have a penchant for coming up big at certain times.
Well, Glenn Mason knows how to win football games, and he knows how to win tough football games. He went on the road 2 years ago, beat Penn State at Penn State. Last year, he goes into the Big Horseshoe in Columbus, Ohio, and upsets then the number 5 ranked Ohio State Buckeyes. Glenn Mason knows how to motivate his troops. He'll get it done today.
And they have won 2 of their last 3 games. The Michigan Wolverines, meanwhile, hoping to continue their dominance over Minnesota. They've won 12 straight against the Gophers. Right now, let's go back to Reese Davis in the studio.
Michigan has had a firm grasp on the little brown jug, and you know, if you're going to grab something, you might as well let that guy do it. Marquise Walker getting ready to take on the Gophers after this.
ESPN2's presentation of college football is brought to you by BF Goodrich Tires. Take control. And by America's Dairy Farmers. Ah, the power of cheese.
A sunny, cool, breezy day in Ann Arbor, Michigan, to this game with a lot of history to it. Right, Holly Rowe?
That's right. This is the oldest trophy game in college football history. The little brown jug is kept right in here under lock and key for the entire game. It started back in 1903 when Michigan's coach, Fielding Yost, thought that Minnesota would give them poisoned water. He brought his own water in the little brown jug, but when they left after the game, he forgot it. Minnesota said, tough, you'll have to win it back, and thus the little brown jug started. Now, Lloyd Carr says it is an important game. He remembers back in 1986 when they were on course for the national championship, undefeated at 9-0, and Minnesota upset them to win the jug. Glenn Mason, on the other hand, says, hey, I've never seen the gosh darn thing. I'd like to get better acquainted.
Right, Holly. Hey, the best way to see the trophy, Coach Mason, is to win it.
That's right.
And that's what his hopes are today. Minnesota won the toss, electing to receive as we get set for the kickoff. Epstein kicks it off, and this one will go right through the back of the end zone. And the Gophers will start off on their own 20-yard line. Starting quarterback is 6-foot sophomore Assad Abdul-Khalik out of Elizabeth, New Jersey. He's thrown 5 touchdown passes this year versus 4 interceptions, completing 58% of his passes. The skill people behind him, Redmond, Ron Johnson, a dangerous receiver, Burns, Henderson, and Utek, the tight end.
Yeah, Ron Johnson, Tellus Redmond, the big guns for that Minnesota offense.
Ron Johnson rated as one of the top 3 receivers in the entire nation. First down and 10 from the 20-yard line for Minnesota. And dealing with the noise here is going to be a key for the Gophers today. And a flag on the first play of the ball game.
We'll see if Michigan got its problems fixed as far as run defense goes from last week.
False start, offense, 5 yards. The down remains first.
Battle of the trenches today. Speaking of run defense, Chris, here's a look at the Minnesota offensive line. Cuppy, Akinwale, Burns, Carter, and Anderle up front against this defensive front. Shante Orr with a hard rush off the edge. Redmond runs it off the left side over Cuppy. Not much happening there. Gets to the 15-yard line, brought down by Sean Lazarus. Here's a look at the Wolverine linebackers. Hobson, Foote, and Brackens.
Larry Foote's the leader of that group and the leader of the defense.
And the safeties had a great game last week. Drake and June, Howard and Jackson joined them on the corners.
True freshman Marlon Jackson. The challenge out there against Ron Johnson.
Leads the team with 3 interceptions this year. 2nd down and 15. Redmond again, this time making it out to the 18-yard line before he's brought down in the play by Carl Diggs. Asad Abdul-Khalik getting the start today. 5 touchdowns versus 4 interceptions. In the last 3 games, he's been pretty productive, though.
Yeah, Coach Mason mentioned the fact to us that he's gotten better in his preparation, his practice habits. And he suffered some drops last week against Ohio State. Otherwise, he would have been a very productive football player. And he can do it with his feet, Mark.
Chris, they want to stay out of 3rd and longs, 3rd and 13. Johnson split to the bottom of your screen. Instead, they run it. Redmond with some room, brought down short of the 1st down at the 27 by Charles Drake, the strong safety.
That was a good, strong tackle by Charles Drake in the open field on a powerful runner like Tellus Redmond. Big tackle. Helps Michigan get a 3 and out, and that's a stat that they keep track of.
Something that they consider almost like a turnover as Preston Brunig comes into punt, averaging 40.3 yards on the season with a long of 54. Gets off a high spiral. Marquise Walker back to the 26, and he's brought down immediately at the 28-yard line. Good coverage on the play by Fraley, who made the tackle on that 46-yard punt. The starting quarterback for the Wolverines is John Navarre, the 6'6" junior, your prototypical pocket passer out of Wisconsin.
Yeah, Coach Paris said there's not a throw that he cannot make.
Here's a look at the skill people. Cross, Askew, Bellamy, Marquise Walker, the dangerous receiver, and Bill Seymour, the tight end. 1st down and 10 from the Wolverine 28. Handed off on 1st down. Brewer making the tackle on the play to Chris Perry. Chris Perry, the tailback, getting the start in place of B.J. Askew. They're excited to see Perry back and healthy coming off of that injury. Here's a look, meanwhile, at the offensive line for Michigan. Pape, Goodwin, Anderson, Perziello, and Solomon.
A group that's getting better, replacing 4 guys in the NFL now off last year's offensive line.
Up front, Greg White, the guy to watch off the edge for Minnesota, joined by Reed, Kwapinski, and Osei. 2nd down and 5 after that Perry 5-yard run. They run a little counter this time to Perry again, and this time he's brought down right near the line of scrimmage. Archer making the tackle on the play. Justin Isom also there. Here's a look at those linebackers. Archer in the middle, joined by Henry and Bradley Vance.
Yeah, Phil Archer needs to have a big game. He read the counter there and made the play on Chris Perry.
A lot of changes, Chris, in that secondary. Justin Isom getting to start at strong safety. Lehan and Dozier on the corners. Brewer, the team's leading tackle.
D.P. Dozier has his hands full out there with Marquise Walker.
Navarre finds his receiver for the 1st down at the 41-yard line. Complete to Bill Seymour. They said they wanted to go to their tight ends a little more this week, Chris.
Yeah, Coach Stan Parrish, the offensive coordinator, said we got to get Bill Seymour involved in our offense. That time they ran a nice little option route against the zone defense. Seymour recognized where the chains were, set it down. Navarre delivered the football right where he needed to.
Navarre, 14 touchdown passes versus just 6 interceptions. He's gone for over 200 yards 6 times this season. 1st down and 10 on the Wolverines' first offensive possession. Perry cuts it back towards the boundary and is brought down at the 44-yard line by Osei. Perry is a 6'1" sophomore, a talented one.
Yeah, Mark, he's their best running back as far as pure running backs go. He's coming off of a knee injury, but his size and power and his natural instincts as a running back, he's by far the most talented Michigan running back, and they need to get him going for them to make a run at the Big Ten championship.
And both he and B.J. Askew will see a lot of time in the backfield. Always keep an eye on number 4, Walker. Navarre on the play fake. Completes the pass to Bell. On Minnesota's side of midfield at the 47-yard line, brought down by Bradley Vance on the play right near the 1st down marker.
Yeah, the thing about what Marquise Walker took 3 defenders with him because they're so concerned. John Navarre was patient because there wasn't much of a pass rush. Now everybody's going to drop back on Marquise Walker. He's able to deliver the football. to the short receiver. That's a good job of reading by John Navarre and recognizing his zone defense, and the weakness of the zone was the underneath flat.
One of the turning points for number 16 was that loss against Michigan. He grew leaps and bounds in that game. First down and 10. Little draw play, Askew in the ball game. And he mows his way all the way down to the 40-yard line, picking up about 7 on 1st and 10. Askew comes into this contest with 646 yards rushing on the season and 7 touchdowns.
B.J. Askew is one of those players that does everything well. He's a good runner. He's a good blocker. He has great hands out of the backfield. In fact, he's the second leading receiver for this Michigan offense.
Versatile back, 2nd down and 2, a 3-receiver formation for the Wolverines. Hand it off to Askew, who has the first down, and he has the ability, as you can see, to break some tackles as well, down to the 32.
That's good hard running, and Minnesota, for them to stay in this football game, cannot let Michigan run the football. Michigan struggles running the football. Not what they wore. Right there you see him being patient, keeping his legs driving, missed tackle. Got to get him on first contact.
It's something that Glenn Mason of the Gophers is a little bit concerned about was their ability to bring people down. Get your head across the gate.
Yep.
Right. First down and 10. Perry back in. And brought down after doing a somersault. At the 23, Yuki Dozier came up. A little run support on the corner.
Yeah, Yuki's got to recognize run. This is the old counter trade. Now what they do is they have the tight end pulling around right there. Seymour, what that allows you to do is get a little more speed as your puller as opposed to big offensive tackle. You got a tight end doing it to be able to get outside and around the corner. You see Yuki Dozier, keep your head up and wrap your arms or you're going to get hurt. But keep your head up, Yuki. I don't want to see you get a neck injury. See what you hit.
From somebody who knows. Not play of the drive. 2nd down and 1 for Michigan. Play fake, Navarre. And a flag on the play. Lahan was defending on the play.
And gave him a little push there, Mark, right before the ball got there. And he didn't have to. He was in great position on Marquise Walker.
Good play fake that time by the quarterback, Navarre, and it's against Minnesota.
That happens when you establish a running game. That's a good call by Michigan to go up top off of that. You'll see the ISO right here. Now Walker gets a nice move inside. Lahan's a good position. He's on the outside shoulder. And that's a little touchy to me. You know, I kind of root for the defense sometimes, but you got to keep your hands off, especially when you don't have to put your hands on him. Yeah, great position.
Almost made the interception. At least was in position to make the pick, but instead, it's going to be 1st and goal from just inside the 10-yard line.
One thing that stuck out was the size difference right there between Marquise Walker and Lahan.
Walker now split to the bottom of your screen on 1st and goal. Perry. Tackled at the 5-yard line. Let's go to Reese in the studio.
All right, Mark, Miami took the opening kickoff, marching down the field against Boston College. I think that's what they call the red zone. Ken Dorsey, very efficient. Picked off for just the 5th time this year by Doug Bassett. And the Eagles snuff out the drive and trying to take it the other way without William Green.
And their leading rusher. 2nd down and goal. Michigan switching in personnel.
Yeah, Mark, you're going to see tons of offensive personnel formations by Michigan. They like to run the same plays out of different personnel to try to confuse the defense.
They've been real efficient in the red zone this year. Askew, touchdown.
That's that counter OE play. I call it an OE because it's a tight end, not a tackle. If it was a tackle, it'd be counter OT, but it's counter OE because Seymour was the second puller. And what happened, they caved the whole side of that defensive line down. There was no support player out there. Marquise Walker blocked the corner. Touchdown. Too easy.
A drive that was like clockwork as Epstein comes in to add the extra point. And the Michigan Wolverines, who've won 12 consecutive games against Minnesota, take a 7-0 lead here on Parents Weekend. Glenn Mason regrouping his team, hoping to get a score when we come back. A little rocky here in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And Michigan's offense certainly not shaky, though, culminating that drive with a touchdown run by B.J. Askew. Epstein kicking off. And just like his first kickoff, this one goes through the back of the end zone, actually through the uprights. Let's go back to that critical pass interference call, Chris.
Yeah, it was critical. Now, he didn't really need it, but watch right here. Lehan's got good position. Ball's in the air. You'll see right there. He put his hands. He's in position to go up to make the catch at the highest point, but right before that, he put his hands on the back. You can't do that, right? You'll see it right here. He's coming up. He's got great position. He's on the upfield shoulder. Right there's the hands. Give him a little push. Makes a play. And he knows he was wrong because he looked right at the back judge to make sure he didn't get interference. But guess what? He got interference.
1st and 10. Here's Tellis Redmond. Stopped up after a gain of about 2 yards. Hobson and Howard in on the tackle for Michigan. It'll be 2nd down and about 8 to go. Tellis Redmond, the 6-foot junior, averaging a little over 6 yards per rush. Very healthy average. Both he and Marion Barber III have run well in the last 3 games for Minnesota, keying their offense.
Minnesota needs to win 1st and 2nd down to give themselves a chance. To do that, I believe they got to throw the football 1st down. They haven't done that yet. Here's a nice play in a bootleg.
But the Michigan defense stayed home. Number 53, Carl Diggs, as we throw it home to Reese.
Mark, Iowa and Northwestern, a couple of teams in 4-4. Winner of this game, good chance to go to a bowl, and the loser in danger of not being eligible for one. Jeremy Allen plunging in for the Hawkeyes, and Kirk Ferentz's team up by a touchdown about halfway through the 1st quarter. Purdue and Ohio State at the shoe. Buckeyes have a field goal from Mike Nugent, 36 yards out. It's 3-0 Ohio State.
3rd down and 11. Shante Orr making that last tackle for the Wolverines. Abdul Khalid's going to run. Tackled at the 26-yard line, short of the 1st down, and it's another 3 and out for Minnesota on offense.
Yeah, with those 3 and outs, dudes, it ends up helping you with field position. You're always going to be in field position, and every time you get the ball, you can't hold it more than 3 plays. Plus, it helps you with time and possession. It keeps the weak part of Minnesota's team on the field, which is their defense.
Preston Grunig to punt. Marquise Walker back at his own 26. Walker among conference leaders in punt return yardage out to the 43-yard line. A 17-yard return off a 48-yard punt. We'll be back. Michigan ball in a minute.
ESPN2's presentation of college football is brought to you by Original Coors. Nothing beats an original. And by Suzuki. Rush to your Suzuki dealer today or call 1-877-MY-SUZUKI.
Back in Ann Arbor, Michigan, I'm Mark Jones along with Chris Spielman and Holly Rowe. And Chris, one of the questions about Michigan coming into this game was how would they react coming off a disappointing loss last week? Well, so far anyway, the offense, defense, and kicking game have all been solid.
Yeah, they have. I mean, a lot of that's due to the good week of practice. The one thing they want to do is establish some type of identity on the ground, and they did that the first series. Look for them to continue it here.
1st and 10. Perry gets to the edge. Is brought down right at midfield at the 50-yard line. Michigan has used the run very effectively here in the 1st quarter, especially that counter play. 9 rushes versus 2 passes so far.
One of the things I'm seeing what Minnesota's defense is not doing and Michigan's offensive line is doing is they're sustaining their blocks. That takes a long play to develop that long zone handoff sweep. They got to get off blocks. Michigan guys up front are winning the battle. They're sustaining their blocks.
LeVar hands it off to Perry again. Perry is brought down just shy of the 47-yard line by Greg White, the senior defensive end, who's going to have to make a statement up front on that defensive line for Minnesota tonight.
They got to start moving people in on slants and stunts and games on that defensive line. That time Greg White beat the tackle inside and made a nice play. Coming down the line of scrimmage and hitting Perry for a short gain.
He's an all-conference performer, all-American candidate. 3rd down and 1. Has 3 sacks and 5 forced fumbles this season. 3rd and short for Michigan. Perry into the boundary, stopped up short of the 1st down. The Gopher defense flying around that time, especially Jack Brewer, but there's a flag on the play. They got a nice surge on the right side of that defensive front.
Yeah, they made an adjustment. Michigan went to an unbalanced line, what it ended up being, because they have a tight end lined up at fullback. Then they bring the fullback or tight end off, motion him across, have an unbalanced look. Minnesota has to adjust. That time Jack Brewer came and shot the backside gap because of the motion and made the play.
Jack Brewer, the unquestioned leader of that Minnesota defense. Glenn Mason had high praise for his senior safety.
He certainly did.
And an active player as well. Leads the Big Ten in tackles per game, 16.
Well, I don't know if you like to see that. If you have FS beside your name and you're the team's leading tackler, you get a little nervous as a defensive coordinator saying free safety is my leading tackler. You're all right if it's a strong safety. Free safety, I don't know.
Michigan forced a punt on 4th down. Epstein tries to hang this one inside the 20. But instead it'll go into the end zone, and the Gophers, who have had 2 3-and-outs, look to their quarterback, Assad Abdul-Khalik, to take them down the field at least a little bit when we come back. Back in Ann Arbor, Michigan, Burton Tower in the distance, overlooking Michigan Stadium, the 75th anniversary of the Big House. 4:26 to play in the first period. The Wolverines with a 7-0 lead. 1st and 10 for Minnesota. Marion Barber brought down. Let's go to Reese in the studio.
Michigan leads the nation in sacks. Syracuse a close second, and largely because of this man, Dwight Freeney. Look how fast he is all over West Virginia's Brad Lewis. Sack, strip, fumble recovery led to a field goal. Cuse up 3-0 on West Virginia. Miami and Boston College. Miami's got the showdown with Syracuse next week. Ken Dorsey working deep and picked off for the second time in the first quarter. Lenny Walls getting that one, still scoreless.
All right, Reese, and back here, Malik. Brought down to the 24-yard line by Larry Foote. Folks, great college football coming up tonight on ESPN2 at 7 o'clock. Clemson quarterback Woody Dantzler looks to keep the Tigers in the ACC hunt as they head to College Park, Maryland to face E.J. Henderson and the 8-1, that's right, 8-1 Maryland Terrapins. For more information, log on to ESPN.com. 3rd down and 6. They've had 2 3-and-outs, and they haven't thrown the ball yet.
Well, they're trying to throw it. The Malik's looking to run the football. They got to throw it on 1st and 2nd down. It's difficult enough to get the 3rd down conversion on Michigan's defense.
He looks towards Johnson. Fires underneath, incomplete, intended for Tony Henderson. And it's time to punt for the 3rd time today. Let's go downstairs to Holly.
Guys, Michigan came into last week's game against Michigan State, the #1 rushing defense in the country, so you can imagine how disappointed they were to give up 211 yards to T.J. Duckett. Their defensive coordinator, Jim Herman, told us that they worked on proper attack points at the line of scrimmage and their run fits. They've been very effective so far here, stopping the Minnesota run.
Yeah, it's worked, Holly. Brunig. This punt not as good as the first 2. But he gets a very fortuitous bounce. Down to the 28-yard line, so they'll gain a little bit in field position, but they trail 7-0 on the scoreboard where it counts. This is a series that has a lot of history to it. The Little Brown Jug is what's at stake, and Michigan has won the last 12 straight games, including 29 of the last 31.
86 was the last win for Minnesota. I think Ricky Foggy was quarterback of the Golden Gophers back then, running the option.
Went up to Toronto, actually, to play with the Toronto Argonauts after that. Little reverse. Bell on the reverse. Out of bounds at the 38-yard line.
You know, you ask your quarterback to do a lot of things, and one of the things you want him to do and do well is block when it's reverse. John Navarre does a good job of getting that big body in the way. Not the most devastating block, but certainly effective. That's a good job by John Navarre. Taking one for the team.
You'd like to see that, don't you?
Oh, I do. I absolutely do.
1st down and 10. An 11-yard gain by Bell on the play. Askin is brought down at the 39-yard line. Let's go to Reese.
Mark, the Buckeyes turned a bad shotgun snap into a safety against Purdue, and then they marched down Jonathan Wells from the 15, and against that Purdue defense, there was nobody home when he broke it back, and the Buckeyes had the shoe on top, 12-0.
Ohio State gaining a little confidence after the win last week against Minnesota, now playing well against Purdue.
Yeah, offensively, they're playing much better, and quarterback Steve Belisari is starting to find his way with that offense.
2nd and 9, Navarre. Complete to the tight end. Seymour still on his feet and brought down at the 36. Bill Seymour, the 6'4" senior, making the catch for the first down.
Well, when you get your tight end involved in the offense, you got a matchup right here on free safety, Jack Brewer. You're going to see him come down here, do a nice little curl up. Now, how good is a tight end? He's defined by what he does after he catches the football. Jack Brewer's giving him too much cushion. Then he has a chance to make his play. But what he doesn't do is bring his feet when he hits. He drops to his knees. Seymour runs right through the tackle.
First down and 10. Askew again between the tackles, brought down by Jack Brewer. Askew described kind of as a jack-of-all-trades running back.
I like his power, Mark. He's a really good inside runner. He's got good balance and vision. He hits it up in there. Not a lot of moves. Gonna straight up in there and tackle me if you can.
Yeah, tutored by A-Train last year.
He's learned a lot. Well, yeah.
2nd down and 4 for Michigan. 1:09 to play in the first period. Navarre wide open to Walker. And Walker gives Michigan a first down and 10 from the Minnesota 8. He had all day to throw that time. That's 33 straight games with a reception for Walker.
Yeah, you'll see Marquise Walker kind of work his way down, kind of sit on his zone right here now. What you want to watch, see this corner right here, this young man? You got to get some depth. You lay hand, you got to get depth because it's cover 2. Your safety can't cover that side of the field. He's in a deep half, not the deep third. You got to give him some help. Let him throw the underneath stuff. Break on the ball.
They're spreading out the defense on 1st and goal. Navarre on the quick slant, incomplete. Good coverage that time by Lehan.
Yeah, Mike Lehan does a great job that time, matching up with Marquise Walker, giving up size, but gets his hands inside, knocks the ball away. You want to be careful of giving up inside position. Navarre's going to deliver the football. See that left hand there? Did a great job of getting his hand inside. Then coming across with his right hand to rip the other arm out of there so Marquise can't grab it with his free hand. Nice job.
That was the first miss incompletion by Navarre today. Look at the discrepancy in total yardage. Wow. 129 yards of offense for the Wolverines, marching up and down the field on 2nd and goal. The same play, same result, incomplete. This one a little bit behind Walker, but he might have been able to catch that.
Yeah, you got to catch that. A receiver of this young man's caliber has to bring that in. That guy needs to deliver the football. He is wide open. You see, it is the same play. It's a 3-step drop. Nice pickup on the blitz. It's behind him a little bit, but that's a catch he can make. Going right back to it. They like to match up in size.
You're not going to see that happen too often where he drops those.
He does a good job of adjusting to the football. He's got to finish the play and bring it in.
Walker now split to the top of your screen on 3rd and goal. Complete, but brought down short of the end zone is Seymour. That is a tackle. Yuki Dozier. And the fans voicing their opinion.
It was a route problem for Michigan right there. They had 3 guys in one area, 2 guys deep. Seymour was his only outlet. Yuki Dozier that time stayed with the coverage, then broke up on the football and made the play, not to give anybody behind him in open space.
4th and goal, Chris. They're going to go for it. You like the call?
I do. I think they're going to look for the same play they scored on with the counter. Got the same personnel in.
2 tight end formation. Perry, the single back. And you know what, folks? You're going to have to wait to exhale. That's the end of the first period with Michigan on the 2-yard line. Head coach Lloyd Carr looking for the 13th consecutive Michigan win over Minnesota. We'll be back. Back at Michigan Stadium, the Wolverines with a 7-0 lead as we get set for the first play of the second period. Michigan with the ball, 4th down and goal. from the Minnesota 2, the 9th play of the Wolverine drive. They come out in a 2 tight end formation. Walker in motion. And it's picked off in the end zone by Justin Isom. A huge 10 and a big play by the Gopher defense.
Yeah, it took John Navarre a little bit long to read that. He had the receiver open in the back of the end zone. He waited too long to deliver the football. Isom made a great job of redirecting his feet and getting underneath and making a great play. You see it right here. It was a sprint rollout action. Askew does a nice job of picking up the blitz. He's open for a second. Isom does a great job of reading the quarterback's eyes, then stepping in front of the intended receiver. That's a great job of reading the quarterback's eyes. Navarre never saw him. Never saw him.
That was just the 7th interception that Navarre has thrown this year. 1st and 10 for Abdul Khalik as he goes up top for Johnson. And Johnson makes the catch at the Michigan side of midfield at the 46. And just like that, the Gophers are on Michigan side of midfield.
And Todd Howard misjudged the ball.
A 35-yard pickup.
A great throw by Khalik. You'll see right here. He's going to get Ron Johnson. I got to get him in the offense. I got to get him going. You see, Howard has good position, but misjudged it a little bit. Jumped too early. You got to time that leap, and Ron Johnson does a great job of concentrating, focusing on the football, making a catch with a hand in his face.
That was the first pass of the day by Minnesota. And here's the second, and he had Redmond wide open for what could have been 6. Just overthrowing him.
Yeah, he heard throw a little bit. If he would have took his time and been a little bit more patient. Redmond was unaccounted for. They faked the counter with Redmond. Faked the bootleg the opposite side. Brought Redmond out of the field. You'll see right here. They're going to fake it right here to Redmond. Now he's going to come down and sneak out here. Here's the fake bootleg right there. Everybody's running that way. There goes Redmond down there. He's just got to deliver the football to him to make the catch. It's 6 points. You're right, Mark.
And you saw the look on Glenn Mason's face. He knew that was their play. That was their chance. They run it into the boundary. Redmond on the ground down to the 38. Let's go to Reese in the studio.
Mark, A&M already had a 3-0 lead on Oklahoma after a bad OU punt. Here's Nate Hibble looking across the middle. And Everett Smith is going to step in front and knock it down. Or did he? He caught it and fumbled it, according to the officials. No home cooking for the Sooners. Brian Gamble taking it in, and the Aggies up by a 10 spot.
Strange looking play on that one. 3rd down and 5 for Minnesota. 0 for 3 in 3rd down situations today.
Yeah, Ron Johnson matched up with the true freshman out there.
Came in with Thomas Tepe and Marion Barber in the backfield.
Prior to the snap, false start. Offense, 5 yards. The down remains 3rd.
And that's frustrating for a coach because you go from a manageable 3rd down to 3rd and 5. A team like Minnesota, that's a run pass situation, to 3rd and 10, which is an obvious pass down for the Golden Gophers.
Ron Johnson has made the 1 reception in the game so far for Minnesota. This time split to the bottom of your screen. Matched up on Todd Howard. Abdul Khalik's going to keep it himself. He has the 1st down and then some. All the way down to the 26-yard line. That's what he gives you. The ability to make plays outside of the box.
Well, they drew that play up from what they got hurt on last week against Ohio State. Steve Belisari in the quarterback draw. Coach Mason told us that would be in the game plan today, and they did a good job of blocking downfield and selling the pass. Khalik was patient, waited for the hole to open, and he accelerated through it like you're supposed to.
A 19-yard pickup, 1st down and 10. And a little motion on the right side of that Minnesota offensive line. Bogus.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense, 5 yards. The down remains 1st.
2nd time. Let's take a look at our ESPN 2 game track. Some of the key plays in the storyline of today's game. Askew with a 5-yard touchdown run to give the Wolverines a 7-0 lead. And then the Michigan defense with 3 3-and-outs. Allowing just 47 yards in the 1st period. Then the big interception, which has led to this Minnesota current drive. Abdul Khalik incomplete over the middle, intended for UTEP.
Abdul Khalik has some receivers open downfield, Mark. That time Utek, the big tight end, split the seam and cover 2, split the safeties. He's got to deliver the football a little bit quicker. He's waiting too long. When it happens, if you wait too long to throw the ball, the defensive backs have time to react because the field becomes bigger, thus their vision becomes bigger, thus they can break on the football.
Of course, he seems to be a little bit long, a little bit high with some of his passes so far. Underneath this time to the 29-yard line to Redmond, who made the catch and was met immediately by number 17, Larry Foote, the middle linebacker.
Now that's almost a setup play. Now what you do is you dump the ball to Redmond underneath. That gets those linebackers, I know it because I did it enough and screwed up enough to kind of jump up and bite on that and excited to get the play. Now you can run that, set Redmond in front of the linebackers and hit a dig in behind them.
Well, let's keep an eye on the receivers. Johnson split to the top of your screen on 3rd down and 12. Quick 3-step drop. They go to Johnson. Makes a play, lunging near the 1st down marker at the 16 was Ron Johnson. He's tackled by Cato June on the play.
Yeah, Ron Johnson can do some things after he catches the football. He knows he turns into a running back, and he's matched up there on Marlon Jackson, the true freshman. He'll get a nice little break on the ball. That's it. Now you got to keep your head up. And he doesn't keep his head up. He does a great job of stretching that ball out to get the 1st down. That's field awareness, Mark.
Made a great play, and the first down of the game for Glenn Mason's team.
That's a huge 1st down, not only because it was on 3rd down, thus it keeps the drive alive.
Abdul Khalik hands it off to Thomas Tepe, his first rush of the game. And let's go to Reese in the studio.
All right, Mark, Iowa's opening a big can of whooping on Northwestern. Jeremy Allen going to go in for the 2nd time today, but it's not going to be quite as bad as last week, and they got behind 42-0 to Indiana at the half because Northwestern is on the board. It's 21-7 now.
Boy, what has happened to Northwestern?
Falling apart.
Yeah. Minnesota with 3 first downs so far. The fade. Touchdown Johnson. A busted coverage by the Wolverines, and it's 1 point away from being tied up.
See, Jimmy Herman's is going to go crazy because the one thing you can't stand, especially when you have experience and toughness on your defense, is mental errors. That was a complete mental breakdown. Nobody covered Ron Johnson. Excellent job by Khalik to recognize that. Excellent job of Ron Johnson letting him know, hey, I'm open, man. Nobody's out here. Give me the ball.
That was like room service, Chris.
Free delivery.
On a platter. Abdul Khalik laid it in there softly, and as much as Minnesota has been outplayed so far statistically, where it counts on the scoreboard, Ron Johnson's team is tied with Michigan 7 apiece. He's performing in front of a lot of friends and family. He's from nearby Detroit. We'll be right back. Back in Ann Arbor, Michigan, I'm Mark Jones along with Chris Spielman and Holly Rowe down on the sidelines. We are tied at 7 apiece. Ron Johnson with a touchdown catch moments ago for Minnesota. The Bruins bringing it out of their own end zone. And deep into Minnesota territory. What a return. Todd Howard, the DB, making a nice return deep into Minnesota's territory at midfield. Let's go back to the touchdown.
Well, obviously it's a mental breakdown, which I think happens right here, and that's number 20, Marlon Jackson. See, he's late. He's starting to run over there. Somebody's got to cover my man. He's late. He's still running over there. He didn't get over there. Now, what should happen, if in case the guy isn't lined up, then you have to have June Cato or Cato June over there to help his buddy out to cover down for him. That didn't happen. Mental error.
Gonzalez in the ball game now, and you can expect some trickery. Incomplete. Jermaine Gonzalez came in for Navarre quarterback, and he tried to hit the tight end Bill Seymour.
Yeah, I like the play because it gives him a chance to succeed, and he had a wide open Bill Seymour. And oftentimes, Mark, when a quarterback gets his first play or his first throw, is going to overthrow it because he's a little excited and adrenaline takes over.
And Jermaine Gonzalez actually caught a touchdown pass last week against Michigan State. They like to do a lot of different creative, unorthodox things with him in the ballgame.
He's a great athlete. Do some things with that football.
They run a little option. Gonzalez keeps it himself. Is brought down at the 40. It'll be third down. And about 7 to go. Jimmy Henry making the tackle for Minnesota.
I like to have Gonzalez in there, Mark, because you're getting your second-team quarterback some valuable reps. Not mop-up reps, but valuable reps when the game is on the line and it means something. It's an important series.
This Michigan program is a program that reloads. They don't rebuild here. Navarre was the one that took over when Drew Henson decided that he wanted to play baseball for a living. And he's responded in kind.
I'd be surprised to see a quarterback draw right here, Mark. Got the field spread.
Mishandling the snap is Gonzalez, and he's in a heap of trouble. Sacked back at the 48 by Greg White. And Minnesota's defense stands up to the challenge.
It looks like he didn't have his eye on it. It looks like he was looking out away. No, he's got his eye on it. He's got to get the football, secure the football. A little bit of a high snap. Does a good job of recovering and trying to make something happen.
Epstein to punt. Redmond got it right on the 10-yard line. Fell forward to the 13. A 37-yard punt, 3 on the return. Not the type of first series that Jermaine Gonzalez had in mind when he came in. We'll be right back.
ESPN2's presentation of college football is brought to you by Kia, makers of the new Spectra. Well-equipped and affordable. It's a car you can really get into.
Mark Jones, Chris Spielman, and Holly Rowe in Ann Arbor, Michigan at Michigan Stadium. We're tied at 7 apiece, 1st and 10 Minnesota. This is Marion Barber III. Brought down right near the first down marker at the 23 by Todd Howard. Minnesota, as much as Glenn Mason's team has been outplayed statistically, is right in this ballgame.
Well, they did two big plays. First of all, the long pass to Ron Johnson and set up all by a defensive turnover. The interception in the end zone on 4th down.
They've turned it around, especially on that last drive. As the stats showed, here's Barber under the boundary. Let's go downstairs to Holly Rowe.
Guys, after that last Minnesota touchdown, there wasn't much celebration on the Gopher sideline. Instead, their quarterback, Abdul Khalik, spent his time talking to the receivers. He told them that they are spending so much time and attention, the Michigan defense, on Ron Johnson, that the other receivers have to get their head in the ball game so he can utilize them. He challenged Antoine Henderson, Tony Patterson, and Antoine Burns to get their head in the game and make some big plays.
We'll see how much that he can spread it around. A little motion on the right side of that offensive line for Minnesota. It's Bogus again for the second time today.
Bogus got to get the count. Let's go.
To the snap. False start. Offense. 5 yards. The down remains first.
Folks, tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock, join Chris Berman, his team, as they get you ready for all today's NFL action on NFL Countdown. Reports from all the games with up-to-the-minute news, notes, and highlights right up until kickoff. Catch NFL Countdown every Sunday morning only on ESPN. First down and 15. Underneath, complete to Barber. Gets back some of that yardage out to the 27-yard line. As Marion Barber III, who was recruited as a DB, now playing running back. A look at the penalty situation. A couple of costly ones for Minnesota.
Yeah, they got to trim those down because a lot of them are on first down markers. Put them in 1st and 15. And they're fighting their hands off to get back to 2nd and 10 so they can win 2nd down and hopefully get a manageable 3rd down. But it has a direct effect on the further downs every time you get a penalty on 1st down. This team can't afford to be in 3rd and long.
Incomplete, intended for Henderson. Abdul Khalik way off the mark on that one.
He had some damage too. He had blockers out in front. He's just got to give him the football, let him do something. I like that he challenged his receivers to get going and get in the game. But when he has an opportunity to deliver the ball to other receivers besides Ronnie Johnson, he's got to give him the football.
Sets up a 3rd down and 10 with 8:31 to play here in the first half. Asad Abdul-Khalik 5 of 9 passing for 70 yards with a touchdown so far. 41.5% on 3rd down this season. And he eludes the rush for a little bit, but then is brought down by Rumashek. That's his 7th sack of the season.
Yeah, Rumashek does a nice job here of turning the corner once he gets past the offensive tackle with the tight end. You'll see right there, Utek beats him with a quick swim, then turns that sharp corner and secures Khalik.
Brunig to punt, it's blocked. And the Wolverines come up with a big play. Tyrese Butler made the play. He came up with the block of the punt.
You want to get back in the game and get the momentum back on your side. Do it on special teams. That young man right there comes right up to shoot on him. A little stunt right there. And takes the hit, the ball off the foot. And does a nice job of getting that done. Get the momentum back.
Working with an extremely short field, and look at this. They just smothered it.
A little stunt, a little curl stunt. He came right up the middle of the cut.
1st and goal from the 5. Perry. Tough sledding between the tackles down to the 3. The 2nd down and goal.
Good movement up front, though, by the Michigan offensive line.
There have been a lot of block kicks this year in the Big Ten Conference, more than usual.
Well, it tells me 2 things, that teams are becoming more sophisticated in their punt defense, and they're not so much worried about the return game, but they're setting up pump blocks. They're getting it done.
Askew in, he gets the call. Touchdown, Michigan. Two plays after the block punt, the Wolverines punch it in. Epstein in for the extra point. And the Michigan Wolverines lead 14-7, courtesy of the blocked punt. B.J. Askew run. It was Tyrese Butler that came in on Preston Brunig and smothered the punt to set up the touchdown. We'll be back in a bit. Back in Ann Arbor, the Michigan Wolverines leading 14-7 with 7:20 to play in the first half. Epstein to kick off. Dallas Redmond will watch this one go out of bounds near the 15-yard line. And Minnesota will start off at its own 35.
Yeah, that'll be their best starting field position all day. It's the first time they're outside the 20.
Look at the Michigan scoring drive, a short one, just 2 plays after that Butler blocked punt. There he is, number 9, Tyrese Butler. He came up with the key play.
Came untouched, well-designed pump block by the Michigan coaching staff. Took advantage of a breakdown in pump protection by the Golden Gophers.
It's only the second one that Preston Brunig has had blocked this year. 1st down and 10 for Minnesota.
That's too many.
Abdul-Khalik. The receiver broke the other way, and Khalik threw it towards the sideline. He was looking for Tony Patterson. Let's go downstairs to Holly.
Guys, an unfortunate injury right now for Michigan. Their starting running back, Chris Perry, has injured his right knee. Now remember, he's had a sprained left knee and is just now getting healthy. He got his first start today. They've examined him. That looks like they will try to get him back out there, but he may be hobbled.
After that first play, after they took over from the block punt, he came out. 2nd down and 10. Looking for Johnson. And he was smothered on the play that time by Marlon Jackson, the freshman. Jackson, number 20 right there for Michigan, described as a natural corner, great athlete, Chris.
Yeah, you can't find those guys too often. Anybody that's a true freshman can come in and start a corner in the Big Ten is a great athlete and probably will have a future in the NFL. If he's that good now, if he continues to improve. That time he had great position on Ron Johnson, using the sideline and his body to force a small field for Ron Johnson to run down.
Minnesota's 2 of 6 in third downs today. 3rd down and 10 here. Redmond on the run. He has the first down and then some. Down to the 48 of Michigan, brought down by Williams and Drake.
That's running under control to have the vision to throw the old Jimmy Kick, Mercury Morse spin move on a guy. Then know where the hole is. You'll see it right here. This is a great job, Tellus Redmond. Right there, little spin move, Mark. That's nice.
Yeah.
Didn't recognize where the first down is. I like to see him carry that ball on the outside arm to protect it a little bit better. Larry Stevens had him on a shot at him in the backfield. Didn't capitalize.
First down and 10 near midfield. This time the Michigan defense snuffing the run. Grant Bowman leading the charge. Folks, more college football tonight for you at 7:45 Eastern on ESPN. It's an SEC showdown as the Florida Gators and their high-powered offense led by Rex Grossman. Yeah, number 8 right there with his 27 touchdown passes. Head to Columbia, South Carolina to take on Kalimba Edwards and South Carolina Gamecocks. Look at the standings in the SEC East. A win for South Carolina tonight on ESPN. And they are, well, actually a little bit ahead of Florida at 6-2. They would own the tiebreaker if it came down to that. The pass complete to Tony Patterson.
Tony Patterson did a nice job of boxing out Marlon Jackson right there using his size advantage. Malik lead in front of him. See him right here. Watch him work inside. Jackson does a good job with his hands. See him use his rear hand. A little push off there. That's the old veteran move on a rookie freshman. Give him the old push.
Take him to school. Put him on a bus. 3rd down and 7. They converted last time on a running play. They look up top for Johnson. And it's out of bounds, incomplete. Good coverage that time by Todd Howard on the corner.
It was good coverage, but he had that check down with Tellus Redmond. If he would have dumped it to him, he had nobody in front of him. He could have fell forward and got the first down, but he went for it all. I'd like to see, I bet the coach is up there saying to Abdul Kalik, Abdul, get the first down. We're all right. We don't need to hit a home run every time we're up the bat.
Let's check out the hang time on the punt by Grunig. It was blocked last time. This time Michigan doesn't come after it quite as hard. Walker calls for the fair catch at the 8-yard line. A 37-yard punt, nothing on the return. The Michigan Wolverines lead by a touchdown. And we come back on Parents' Day. Welcome back to Ann Arbor, and the man behind the glasses there is the man that helped build this program into one of the most elite football programs in the country, but he couldn't get Chris Spielman to come here.
I had a chance to visit with him. It's one of the greatest thing that happened to Michigan from Ohio. Barberton, Ohio. Bo Schembech.
This is the worst starting field position of the day for Michigan's offense. Askew out to the 12-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and about 7. Brewer making the tackle on the play. So you had a visit with Bo before the game, huh?
Yeah, he's a great guy. We go back a long way from the time we were recruited. We kind of hit it off. And he thought I was coming here. I said, Coach, you know, you're from Ohio. You know how it is.
He's a great guy. Rewrite history a little bit.
He was yelling at me still. He's still coaching me.
2nd down and 8. Complete to the tight end, Jopru. And Jopru has a first down out at the 28-yard line. Jopru had last week had a drop.
Yeah, Jimmy Henry, I think, blew a coverage right there. And again, Navarre recognizing that Seymour was taken by Yuki Dozier. Saw his option, second option, and a flat. Just dumped it. Knew that Jimmy Henry fell for the run fake, and there he goes down the sidelines. Being patient.
First down and 10 for Michigan. Nice play fake, and he looks up top. Incomplete. Intended for Ronald Bellamy. Yuki Dozier on the coverage for the Gophers.
See the ball handling of John Navarre. You know, when you're successful running the football, these plays are effective. I like it because you're going to go deep to the post. Right there, sticks that ball in there and takes it out. That's a nice job. Gets that whole defensive flow one way. There's Marquise Walker going short. And there comes the big, long post route. Bellamy just overthrew him a little bit. Good ball handling, though. Fundamentally sound.
3-receiver formation. They run out of it. Askew bouncing it outside. And tackled short of the 40, but near the first down marker at the 37. Greg White making the stop for Minnesota.
Gerald Reed, along with Jack Brewer, made the stop.
Michigan owned the statistics in the first period. Look at the total yards. In the second period, Minnesota's flipped the script a little bit, Chris.
Well, they needed to if they want to stay in the football game. They're in danger of getting blown out. Then it's funny how what a big defensive play can do for your offense. Isom intercepts it in the end zone. They get the ball in the 20, then go 80 yards in response to Michigan's almost touchdown.
2 inches.
Let's go downstairs to Holly Rowe.
Chris, you talk about that big defensive play. It was huge because the Minnesota defense had been on the field so much they were exhausted. After that interception in the end zone, they got at least 9 real-time minutes of rest when Minnesota was able to put some first downs together. That was huge, and they've had a lot more energy coming back ever since.
Right, Holly, and right now it sets up a 3rd down in inches. Michigan 1 of 4 in 3rd down situations today.
Well, if you got a quarterback 6'6 and a half with long arms, run a sneak and just put that ball over there, get the first down, let the referee spot it.
Sometimes it can be as easy as just falling down. See how they line up here.
Yeah, get behind the guy with a size 50. Go right over him. There you go.
That's what they do. And Navarre gets the first down for the Wolverines. Coaches call him a big oak tree who can make all the throws, and he can run a little bit, or at least run a quarterback sneak when he has to for the first down.
Do a good job of getting pushed. You see the offensive guards in there, they kind of pinch in there like that, make a little X with the center, so you got basically a triple team on 2 guys inside. More times than not, that's a successful play.
First down and 10. Looking for Walker. Incomplete, just underthrown. Isom on the coverage for Minnesota.
Now this time they switched it up, Mark. They put Bellamy as a short crossing route, and Walker's going to the post, thinking they'd have better chance of hitting him deep. But Isom, giving up about 18 inches in height, does have good coverage. And Marquise has got to be able to adjust on that football a little bit. He kept running the post. He's got to cut his route a little short and come back to the ball.
We saw Isom in the hotel lobby in Minnesota's hotel, and he's not the most imposing guy physically, but obviously a lot of heart.
Yeah, he's a tough guy. Transferred from Butler, walked on, starting here in the big house.
Time of possession just about dead even. Jermaine Gonzalez now in the ball game on 2nd and 10. And he runs it, giving Michigan another dimension. First down, Wolverines at the Gopher 38. Let's go back to Reese.
Just might have gotten caught peeking at a little bit toward Miami. A little bit of a slow start, but late in the first half, down 6-3. Guy who gets him started, James Munkrow, going in against West Virginia in the Cuse. Now has a 10-6 lead. Miami, meanwhile, still struggling with Boston College, 6-0. Dorsey's thrown a couple of picks. Brian St. Pierre just threw one for BC as well.
Not putting over many voters in the polls with this performance. A 23-yard gain by Gonzalez. He is still under the center. This is Walter Cross with his first run of the game. Brewer making the tackle. He's the 3rd running back to touch the ball for Michigan.
See why Jack Brewer leads the Big Ten in tackles. He's all over the field. That time he made a touchdown saving tackle. They were in man-to-man coverage. Jack Brewer doesn't make that tackle. All the support behind Jack Brewer. Backs return. Walter Cross would have been in the end zone.
A former transfer from down in SMU. 2nd down and 5 now for the Wolverines. The 9th play of the Michigan drive. Gonzalez completes the pass to the tight end. And there he is again, number 2. Brewer wrapping up Seymour. It looked like a bulldog tackle that time, Chris.
It was a bulldog. I love it when the guys tackle high, especially when a safety tackles high. They're setting the bootleg up because they want Gonzalez to throw on the run. Jack Brewer's in man-to-man, plays his responsibility, doesn't go for the fake, gets a head across the bow, then it slams him to the head. Good job by Seymour to fall forward. Nice job by Jack Brewer with the bulldog tackle. You learned that down in Texas. What do they do? Them cows or something. Don't they try to tackle like that or something? Grab him by the horns? They grabbed him by the Michigan horns there, the Wolverine on his helmet.
That's what he did.
Whatever that thing is.
He has been moved around, too. Actually played on offense last year a little bit. Brewer did. 3rd down and 1 for Michigan. Gonzalez on the option. Oh, it's going to be close. Gonzalez brought down at about the 27. And he did get the 1st down. And the drive stays alive for Michigan. Folks, got more college football tonight at 7 o'clock on ESPN2. Woody Dazzler and the Clemson Tigers at the College Park, Maryland to take on number 11, Maryland. And what a renaissance that program has undergone under Coach Ralph Friedgen, former offensive coordinator at Georgia Tech, has really set the ACC abuzz with his team. 1st down and 10. Perry back in the game. And chopped down at the 26-yard line by Dominique Sims. So Perry looked like he was moving a little bit gingerly that time. I'm not sure, Chris.
Yeah, he's limping a little bit back to the huddle mark. He's taking those low shots. Dominic Sims comes up from the safety spot, makes a good tackle. You like to see him go ahead and wrap his arms. That was solid enough contact to get him down, but it gets a good back mark. You got to wrap your arms. I don't see kids enough bringing their arms. That's what those 2 things hanging from their shoulder pads are for, to wrap them up.
12th play of the drive. Gonzalez on the bootleg to the tight end Seymour again. Out of bounds to the 19. Let's go to Reese.
All right, Mark, coming up at halftime, we'll check in on Ken Dorsey's struggles against Boston College. We'll also see what's going on with Syracuse, West Virginia, after scoring 80 on the State University of New Jersey, giving Syracuse a fight. And also out in the Big 12, Oklahoma having all kinds of trouble against the Wrecking Crew. We'll try to sort it out for you at the half.
And I'm sure you will, Reese. 3rd down and 1. Walker split to the top of your screen coming up. Jermaine Gonzalez still the quarterback on this drive. 2 tight end formation. And he has Seymour, just missed him at the 5.
See, now I got to say this. Now, Gonzalez does a lot of great things. John Navarre's in there. That's a touchdown. Yeah. It's too easy of a throw to make. He's almost too wide open. Gonzalez kind of forces it a little bit. They have that balance. Seymour's the guy they want to get involved in the offense, and they do. Here he comes running that little 7 route right there. Nice little outcut. Got a missed coverage. Nobody picked him up. He's just got to give him the football. Possibly he'll get in the end zone.
In to attempt a field goal from the 25-yard line, 35 yards out.
And Navarre's the holder. Keep your eye on that.
Epstein. Blocked! Blocked by Greg White. And Minnesota responds with a blocked kick of its own. There he is, number 50, Greg White, burst through and made the play.
Nice vertical. First of all, it's very difficult to block a kick if you don't get penetration behind the line of scrimmage. What that tells me, Mark, and this is constantly said, that it should never be blocked if he's behind the line of scrimmage. He got up, that's a low kick. That is a low kick. But that's great vertical and great effort by White.
Wow, look at him rise.
Man, way to get up, kid.
Minnesota with a little bit of time, perhaps, to get at least into field goal range. 40 seconds to go in the period, 1st and 10. Redmond broke a couple of tackles, but that thing was broken up and destroyed right from the jump. June and Drake, the safeties, in on the tackle.
June did a nice job of recognizing, but when he tackles, you got to bring your feet. You got to run through people. He stopped his feet. Redmond's too good of a back to try to get down by doing that. You got to bring your feet.
Minnesota calls a timeout. It's 1st of the half, trying to get into field goal range. And this was perhaps a big momentum turner for them. Greg White doing the honors.
Got me.
Back in Ann Arbor, let's go down to Holly.
Guys, you talk about the athleticism of Greg White. On his recruiting visit, the first time he met Coach Mason in full clothes, he quickly did a backflip to show him just how much jump he had.
Didn't quite need a backflip on that blocked field goal, but he got the job done anyway. Hobson making the tackle on Assad Abdul-Khalik. As Minnesota calls its second timeout, one remaining now as they try and move into field goal range.
Get something down the field here.
Third down. On the 1-8 to go.
Well, Michigan coming off a very controversial loss last week against Michigan State. Controversial because there was some question by some people as to whether the clock should have expired with 1 second to go. There's a look at it. Now keep in mind that there are 30 frames per second. Okay? And the ball is spiked right there with 0:4 remaining. And the back judge right there has to signal to the timekeeper, Chris, to stop the clock.
Yeah, the timekeeper was on his own. Right there, you'll see it right there. There he's going to signal stop the clock. And it took another second. And, you know, it's a tough deal and it's a tough call, but the clock should not stop until the referee signals the clock to stop on the field or start on the field. That's the rule.
Yep, 3rd down and 8. Abdul-Khalik's going to keep it himself. Does he ever? Gets out of bounds at the 34 with 9 seconds to go in the half.
And we talk about Tellus Redmond being a football player and loved playing football. He shows you that when he runs, but he can also do it when he's blocking. So yeah, you got a chance to make a play. Victor Hobson has a chance to make a play. Bam! He gets 2 guys. And Larry Foote does a great job of hustling from his inside linebacker position to take Khalik down. But that was a great job by Redmond of knocking 2 guys out. One hand grenade would have got them both. He got them both.
Time winding down on the play clock, Chris. 9 seconds to play in the half. Nystrom with a career long of 52. So they would like to move this one in range just a little bit more. Pass complete to Johnson. And they call for a timeout as the clock again becomes a factor. Michigan hoping that perhaps they won't get burned by the clock this time at the end of the half.
A good job recognition by Abdul-Khalik and Ron Johnson, seeing the corner playing off in a soft zone. Go out there, sit down, first down, get as many yards you can. Be aware of the time on the clock. Either get down or get a first down to stop the clock. Get down, get a timeout. They got down, got a timeout. Now they have a chance to kick a field goal before half.
Good clock management and time management by Glenn Mason on this drive.
Now that young man right there doing some things with his feet.
Had a nice gain to put them within field goal range. Down now on the 23-yard line. Nystrom has struggled this year. Came in as a Lou Groza Award candidate, but is just 7 of 13 on the season.
5 for 11 from 30 to 50 plus. It's not a strong suit. It's a 40 yards, 41 yards. You want to win these games, pull the upset. You got to score when you have an opportunity to score.
This one from 40 yards out. And he's right down Main Street between the pipes. Glenn Mason's team heading into the locker room with a bit of momentum on their side as they try to snap the 12-game losing streak against Michigan and take home that little brown jug. 14-10 at halftime. Let's go to Reese in the studio.
All right, Mark, thank you.
Michigan Wolverines lead 14-10 as we get set to begin the 3rd quarter of play. Michigan 4-1 in the Big Ten Conference. Chris Phelan trying to maintain and hold on to their lead in the conference play, but they're getting all they can handle from Minnesota today.
Well, Minnesota is always a team that will compete and play on the road, and they've done it with 2 big plays on defense. They blocked the field goal, took it down for a score. They intercepted a pass, saved the touchdown, then took it down for their own touchdown, a 14-point swing. So they're hanging in there on the road.
A couple of key plays towards the end of the first half by the Minnesota Golden Gophers as they managed the clock well and got into field goal position to narrow that lead to just 4 points for Michigan. Minnesota to kick off to begin this 3rd quarter of play. Howard at the 7. Howard still on his feet. His 2nd big kickoff return of the game. Brought down finally by Sims. Let's take a look now at our ESPN 2 game track. Some of the key plays in the first half. Of course, B.J. Askew with a couple of touchdowns. His first one putting Michigan on the board 7-0. And secondly, Ron Johnson with a touchdown catch wide open on the broken coverage by the Michigan secondary. And Tyrese Butler with a blocked punt to set up a 2-play scoring drive, capped by the Askew scoring run. That's where we stand right now, 14-10, the first drive of the third quarter for Michigan. The draw play. Askew flagged down back at the 35. Askew brought down at the 5-yard line by Jack Brewer.
They're going to bring it back. They got a nice holding call. You know, that's a play that was successful for him, and Askew gives him opportunity to read and see. The offensive line's doing a good job of blocking. That time they got caught for the holding. It's a nice little wrinkle by Michigan. They come out in a lot of different formations. That time they came out in the 3 wides. Got to Askew the football. Now, if you're a defender, you can tell by the depth of Askew.
Holding, offense, 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Repeat, first down.
The depth of Askew will give you whether it's a run or pass. You watch Seymour right here. I think he's the guy that they get. He's got his hands inside. Nice job.
47-yard line.
Boy, I don't know. You know, that's a good. If they call it on him, that's a bad call because his hands are inside. They got to let that go. He won that battle.
Moves the ball back to the 47-yard line. First down and 17. That was the first penalty of the ball game against Michigan. They set up the screen this time to Askew. And you know what? His agility and mobility belie his 228 pounds. Chris, a couple of nice moves to elude 2 tackles.
Yeah, plus he got a great block by Kurt Anderson, and Askew does a good job of showing patience. When you get a screen, you got to be patient. Anderson came by, got a block, let Askew cut inside and get more yardage when he could have been stopped.
Greg White, meanwhile, Chris, the key defender on the front for Minnesota, limping, a little shaken up on that play.
If I'm Michigan, I look at him and say, go right at him.
Looks like he's writhing in pain just a bit. Second
Here
down.
comes that draw play, Mark.
And there it is. Yep, Askew again. They're calling his number, and he's answering the call. First down at the 20-yard line. Let's go downstairs to Holly Rowe.
Guys, talking to Glenn Mason at the half, he said that they are very furious with the penalties early in the first half on their offense. They have got to eliminate the mental mistakes. He was walking down the tunnel and talking to his senior captain, center Derek Burns, and he said, let's get this win in the third quarter. Burns turned around and said, third quarter, coach? He said, yeah, let's not make it interesting. For Lloyd Carr, he says they have got to continue to quit the mistakes on defense. He said they were terrible on third down. They've got to buckle down.
Yeah, Holly, the one mistake cost them a touchdown to Johnson. First and 10 at the 20. Henry making the tackle on the play that time. On Perry, who's back in the game for Askew.
Minnesota did a nice job of getting off blocks. Mark, let me go back to what Michigan does when they have Askew in the backfield. If he's lined up at 4 yards with 3 wide receivers in there, it's a pass. If he lines up at 6 yards, it's been the draw every time. Now, somebody from Minnesota's got to recognize that and let those guys be alerted down there. If they don't, Askew's going to have his way because he's too good of a back, and it gives him too much room to read and react. He's making people miss.
All right, folks, you heard him. 3-6 says watch the depth of the tailbacks. They run the reverse this time to Bell.
2-on-2 out there. They both win.
Got a great block. Touchdown, Michigan.
And a great block by Marquise Walker in the end zone, keeping Yuki Dozier occupied. Matt Anderson again, the center coming out and doing a great job of leading that reverse. Well-executed play. At 2-on-2, they won the battle.
The Wolverines have come out with fire in their collective bellies here in the third quarter. And remember that this was all set up by that good kickoff return by Howard. FC's extra point is good, and it's 21-10 for the Wolverines. Bell on the reverse.
2-on-2. You see John Navarre getting Jack Brewer. That's second great block John Navarre's had today. Anderson with a block.
Guess it pays when you have those 6'6", 235-pound quarterbacks. Michigan leads when we come back. Calvin Bell, number 27, with a touchdown run just a few moments ago to pace Michigan to a 21-10 lead, just underway here in the third period. Now Mark Jones along with Chris Spielman and Holly Rowe on the sidelines. Tellis Redmond back deep for the Gophers. This is Barber. And Barber is brought down at the 29-yard line. Let's take one more look at that touchdown.
If you're going to play for Michigan, you got to be an unselfish ball player. Anderson, Navarre. Watch him. There's one block. Navarre. Anderson. Then to start it off, to finish the play, Marquise Walker in the end zone. Easy. Untouched. One that got him was flag football. Great job of blocking. Unselfish play by their stars, Navarre and Marquise Walker. Anderson doing a good job from the center to get out, too.
Minnesota running it on 1st and 10. Redmond brought down right at the 30-yard line. Good pursuit. Number 97, Sean Lazarus, the defensive tackle.
It's a nice job by Lazarus coming from his inside position, a defensive tackle, to get outside on a toss sweep and make a play. You know, Jimmy Herman's high on Sean Lazarus. That's great hustle. Anytime you have your defensive lineman making plays outside the hash or outside the numbers, you know you got a football player.
That's a very thankless job inside. Nose tackle and those guys in the trenches. Redmond couldn't hang on to it. The pass was a little bit hot. Had a little too much steam on it. Foot was there just in case.
Looked like Redmond stopped his route to me a little bit. He's got to keep running. Abdul Khalik leads him. I was looking at him. I like it. Throw it to your check down, guy. He almost stopped his route. It's lucky it's not picked off. That's a nice job of Foot breaking up on the football and adjusting to where Redmond is.
Sets up a 3rd down and 8 to go for Minnesota on this its first possession of the period. Abdul Khalik's going to keep it himself. He has the 1st down, but there's a flag down back near the 30-yard line. Is that a design play, Chris?
I think that was a design play, and you get Redmond here. See, because Redmond's going to become the lead blocker. See him sit up, and he's blocking on the lead on Big Shante Orr. So almost like
During
a lead
the play,
draw.
Holding offense, 10 yards from the previous spot. Repeat 3rd down.
This really puts Mason's team in a hole. It's 3rd and real long now.
And I think they got 77, Matt Anderle, on the hold here. Got his hands outside. When you get your hands inside, it gave him a little jerk on the shoulder pad there. If you're going to do it opposite of the way the referee is. Don't do it the same side the referee's on. He's going to be looking right at you.
At halftime, Glenn Mason talked to Holly Rowe about the effect the penalties were having on his team. 3rd down and 18. Run the little stretch play. Redmond got a block and has Henderson a blocker ahead of him, and it's tripped up nicely back at the 30-yard line. Todd Howard got an arm in there.
Yeah, Todd Howard did a great job of avoiding a block and getting underneath, getting an arm out there to make a play. He's their senior leader in the secondary. He's a guy that's worked to get better and does a great job of making a 1st down saving tackle.
And he's also the guy that's had 2 long kickoff returns today. His last one setting up the touchdown. And a high punt, a good punt this time by Gruning. Walker back at the 13 and brought down immediately at the 15, a 53-yard boot by Preston Gruning, and the hang time was 4.7 seconds.
That's winning punt team right there. Nysom got a shot in the back right there. Michael Manning trying to make a play. You got to throw your hands up, Mark. If you throw your hands up and hit a guy in the back, they'll never call it. You act like you try to miss him, but if your hands are down.
In the back by the returning team. Half the distance penalty. 1st down.
See, the referee, when he puts his hands out there, says he's gotten pushed him with his hands. You throw your hands up and belly block him, you win.
There it was. Couldn't put the brakes on quickly enough. We'll be right back.
ESPN2's presentation of college football is brought to you by Aflac. Without it, no insurance is complete. And by Acura. Experience the performance today at your local Acura dealer.
Look at the long list of championship teams here at the University of Michigan and outside Champions Plaza here at Michigan Stadium. 1st down and 10. Wolverines' worst starting field position of the day. Perry brought down to the 14-yard line by Dominique Sims, the free safety.
A great tradition here at Michigan. Won a lot of football games and a lot of championships over the years.
It's not uncommon to see a lot of the former players come through here and stroll through and stop in and say hello to some of the coaches and the staff members. And of course, drop in and see Bo.
He's still coaching. He's coaching me how to do TV when I visit him today.
2nd and 4 to the tight end. Complete. And Jopru couldn't get his footing back. Let's go back to Reese. And what's up with Ohio State, Reese?
Well, Mark Steve Belisari is following up his effort against Minnesota with another nice afternoon against Purdue, up 12-9. Belisari would find Michael Jenkins, and Jenkins is going to make that stat look even better, taking 54 yards to the house, and the Buckeyes have a 19-9 lead in the 3rd quarter.
Buckeyes starting to come on offensively, as you noted. 1st and 10. Nice cutback by Askew. Brought down to the 34. Another first down for the Wolverines. Lloyd Carr has led his team to 4 consecutive bowl victories. He is 5-1 career against Ohio State, a.k.a. the big game in the minds of many people in Columbus and Ann Arbor. The only game that seems to count sometimes.
In Columbus, it's the only game that counts, and that 5-1 record is certainly impressive for Michigan. Kind of disappointing for Ohio State fans.
1st and 10. Here's Askew. They are milking him. And the milk tastes kind of sweet. Askew out to the 41. A nice chunk of about 7. Folks, college football tonight at 7:45 Eastern Time on ESPN, an SEC showdown. Florida and Rex Grossman and his host of talented receivers taking on South Carolina, the Gamecocks, with a stout defense featuring Kalimba Edwards at linebacker. Florida's 5-1. South Carolina's 5-2. An SEC East showdown tonight. 2nd and 3. Navarre looking up top. Incomplete, intended for Marquise Walker. They've tried to run that play now 3 times today, haven't they, Chris?
Yeah, they have, and what they're doing, though, they're trying to run it off the zone play, and it's not really a bootleg. They make it look like a bootleg, but it's a straight drop-back pass. Minnesota's doing a good job of recognition. This time, they brought Walker underneath right there. Bellamy over the top. He tried to get to Walker. The only problem is, you got 3 guys on Walker. He does a good job of throwing the football away. Now what they need to do, if they want to run a play-action pass, they've been successful running the Askew on the draw out of this formation, which you're going to see do a play-action out there, but it's probably going to be the run because of the depth of his alignment right now.
Askew the lone back. Walker on the catch. Still on his feet. And finally brought down to the 50-yard line.
And Navarre out-obliged right there to the 3-step drop. He saw Walker in the soft zone sitting outside. See, let me get the first down, made the long throw and threw a bullet right into Marquise Walker, who could do some damage after he catches the football.
Marquise Walker last week against Michigan State had a couple of touchdown catches to go along with 150 yards receiving. One that got away from the Syracuse Orangemen. He's from nearby. 1st down and 10. Perry now in the game, breaking one. A touchdown-saving tackle by Justin Isom. Perry with a pickup of 25.
You're starting to see the size difference up front for Michigan wearing on that Golden Gopher defense right now. I see a bunch of Golden Gophers with their hands on their hips. You see right there, Seymour pulling in and get a great block on Sims. Oh, I get excited when I see that. That's a great block by Seymour. He's had a great game today. Catch it and block it right there. Whack! Down goes Frazier. And there goes Perry. Boy, anytime you get a block like that, man, that gets you excited.
Michigan now, Chris, with 200 yards rushing. They come right back to Perry. Brought down at the 22-yard line. Perry a little more explosive, per se, than Askew. And as we mentioned in Chronicle, just coming off of an injury, which slowed him down earlier in the year, but he's certainly been productive today, shaking off the effects of that injury earlier in the game, too.
And he hurt his other knee a little bit earlier in the game. It's good to see him back in because he's worked hard to get back in to the lineup, and it's a nice little 1-2 punch there with Perry and Askew.
You can say what you want about passing, but in the Big Ten, at some point, you have to know how to run the ball effectively. Navarre on the throwback to Askew. And the Minnesota defense was waiting on that one. Number 25, Yuki Dozier with the tackle. Let's go to Reese Davis.
All right, Mark, Boston College, the 6th-ranked pass defense in all the land. Miami up 9-0. Driving in BC territory. Ken Dorsey picked for the 3rd time today, this time by Josh Ott. And BC rises up again.
Well, you know what? You can almost hear some of the pollsters pondering the same thing.
They win with defense. Miami's shutting them out right now. Defense is stepping up.
10th play of the Michigan drive. The slant almost intercepted. Intended for Walker, broken up by Jack Brewer. A lot of history here at Michigan, folks, and time now for the Aflac trivia question surrounding a little history. Who's Michigan's all-time leading receiver? Receptions, yards, and touchdowns.
Former teammate of mine with the Lions.
Oh, give it away, why don't you?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know this.
All right. Field goal attempt from 41 yards out. Hayden Epstein now in from the left hash. And this one is not blocked. And he knocks it through. So Michigan has scored 10 unanswered points here in the 3rd quarter with 6:17 to play in the period as they lead 24-10 when we come back. Back at Michigan Stadium, this is the 75th anniversary of the Big House. The home team leading on Parents Weekend 24-10. Epstein kicking off. Redmond and Barber back on the 5. It's going to be a Redmond. Let's go to Reese in the studio.
All right, Mark, we showed you Josh Ott picking off Ken Dorsey. Brian St. Pierre leads his team down the field inside the Hurricane 10. And Sean Ryan's open. St. Pierre with a beautiful toss. And BC has closed the gap to 9-7 now against the #1 team in the land.
Well, you know, it's not like Miami has a lot of room or margin for error in the polls with their strength of schedule affecting them. The BCS standings.
BC is always good for a big upset once a year. Seems like.
Just like these Golden Gophers. 1st down and 10 for Minnesota. Abdul Khalid complete to his tight end, Bogus. Victor Hobson making the stop in the play. Time now to revisit our Aflac trivia question. The question was, who's Michigan's all-time leading receiver in receptions, yards, and touchdowns? Your former teammate, Anthony Carter, AC, made some huge, big plays here at Michigan.
Probably one of the all-time great collegiate receivers and an awesome pro, great pro player.
This is Barber across the 30 to the 33, and Holly Rose standing by with AC.
Well, you said that you had to do it the hard way. They didn't have this kind of throwing game back at Michigan when you were playing. You did the receiving yards and the touchdowns the hard way.
Unfortunately, I had to Coach Schembeck to open up the playbook a little bit, and we were successful at it, but it was all fun and good, and we had some good ball players and good teams back when I was here.
It's been kind of fun for you to come back. You say you try to get back here every year. What do you think about these young receivers, particularly Marquise Walker?
Well, they're throwing the ball a lot more than Coach Carr and Coach Moeller when he was here. So the great receivers and Desmond and those guys and Derek Alexander. So it's just fun watching them.
You know, one of the things that Coach Carr was telling us is he looks for guys, he said to his assistants, don't fall in love with talent. Look for guys who have the heart to be football players. Was it like that back in your day? Because we certainly see it here today.
There's no question about it. And, you know, you don't have to do a lot of recruiting. Guys want to come to the university. Michigan is like Notre Dame, the Florida State, and those types of schools. So you don't have to go out and recruit that heavily because guys want to come to your university because you got a successful program. And that's one of the things about the University of Michigan.
Well, thank you very much. It's an honor to meet you. Watched you a lot when I was growing up. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.
All right,
Back to you guys.
It sounds like old AC would have wished Bo would have opened it up a little bit, huh?
AC didn't like that full house that go around once in a while.
It's not Abdul Khalid complete. But it's short of the 1st down to Demetrius Johnson out of the backfield. And it's time to punt once again for the Gophers.
That's a big series for the Wolverine defense to get off the field. They have the momentum going their offense. Now we'll have a chance to go 3 scores in a row against the tired Golden Gopher defense.
Preston Bruning to punt from his own 30. Michigan had a little bit of pressure. better efforts. It's going to be down at the 27, and let's go back to Reese in the studio.
Hey, guys, remember Oklahoma's trick play against Nebraska didn't work? Well, Bob Stoops is not scared. Bob Stoops will do more trickeration. A fake field goal against Texas A&M. Tim Duncan, well, they should have called him down. Didn't matter. They didn't give him a touchdown. He's a kicker. 17-10. Sooners have taken the lead.
Hey, Chris, what about that? A kicker showing that kind of speed, acceleration, agility, strength, athleticism?
Showed great effort there. He didn't look like a gazelle running down those sidelines, but he got the job done.
Just deceiving speed, deceivingly slow, huh?
Yep.
1st and 10 for the Wolverines, who scored 10 unanswered points in the period. Perry. Defensive back brought down to the 30 by Phil Archer on the play along with Jack Brewer.
Phil Archer and Jack Brewer both have played pretty solid today. That time Phil Archer does a nice job of adjusting and making a tackle outside the box, outside that tackle back. So that's what you want out of your middle linebacker in a 4-3 defense. Jack Brewer had a shot at him too. Two guys that play hard.
2nd down and 8 for Michigan. Approaching 4 minutes to play now in the period. Minnesota blitzing. Incomplete. Off the hands of his intended receiver, Seymour, the tight end.
Yeah, Seymour is definitely a part of this game plan. And what it does for Michigan, not only is it effective this game, Mark, but when you're looking at their next 2 opponents, you're saying, okay, well, where all of a sudden Seymour's into the picture. Where are they getting this guy from? And he's been a big factor, not only catching the ball. He lost his feet there a little bit. Just took his head off. LeVar could throw a bullet. But he also threw a great block on that long run by Chris Perry on Sims, the safety.
Done a lot of good things today. Seymour, 5 catches on the day. Minnesota bringing pressure again. And Navarre misfiring for Bell on the play. It's time to punt for Michigan. So the defense responds for Minnesota.
Yeah, they picked and choose when they're going to bring pressure. That time they brought the safety and the middle linebacker on what we call a zone blitz. And Bradley Vance does a nice job of getting in front of the route. Good execution by the Golden Gopher defense on the zone pressure.
A high spiraling punt. Epstein driving back to the 33. Redmond, nice return though. Out to the 35, a 59-yard punt. Let's go to Reese in the studio.
Boy, things are getting ugly for the Wildcats of Northwestern, fellas. It's already 38-7 against Iowa. Kyle McCann's going to find Jeremy Allen. He's going to go it from 45 yards out. This made it 45-7, and Iowa just scored again a moment ago. At this moment, it is now 52-7.
Man. What do you say?
They got, Iowa's got enough to feed the needy today. 1st down and 10 for Asad Abdul-Khalik, who's been the quarterback from the opening snap of the game. Redmond, and a flag coming from the 2 back judges that time. From way back in the secondary, actually. This one's against the Gophers. Folks, more college football tonight at 7 o'clock on ESPN2. Woody Dantzler and the Clemson Tigers look to keep the Tigers in the ACC hunt as they head to College Park, Maryland to face E.J. Henderson and 8-1 Maryland. And you would have to think that Ralph Friedgen is going to get a lot of votes for Coach of the Year in the country. He's done an exceptional job putting his team in a great position this season.
He's done a great job. Former my defensive coordinator, former head coach at Bowling Green, now the defensive coordinator at Maryland, has a great one in E.J. Henderson, Gary Blackney. E.J. Henderson's a player now.
Sets up a 1st and 25 for the Gophers. Draw play, Redmond brought down short of the 25. Michigan's defense has responded to the challenge today, Chris.
Well, yeah, you know, you come in here and you look what they do. They have 40 sacks. Now they have 41. But the big statistic for Michigan is right here. The 3 and outs. See that? The 3 and outs. That's something they consider turnovers. And the more 3 and outs they get, the more momentum they get. And they create field position for their offense. Plus, they keep the opposing defense on the field a long time. That's their biggest stat.
The time of possession really starting to be in favor of Michigan. Incomplete. Intended for Johnson. Things were relatively even with respect to total yardage in the first half, but in the second half, third period here, Michigan really starting to pile up the yardage.
They've come out and look, they wanted to come in this game, Mark, and establish a running game. It's something where they were averaging about 135 yards a game. Not really up to Michigan standards. Up to a lot of team standards, but not Michigan standards. So they wanted to get that going. They've done a good job with it with Askew and Chris Perry. Get that offensive line some confidence in blocking for the run.
Abdul Khalik intended for Johnson and incomplete. Frustrating day for receiver Ron Johnson, performing in front of his family and friends here. He's from nearby Michigan, Detroit, Michigan. Number 3 with the 1 touchdown catch, but that's about it today so far.
Well, Todd Howard did a nice job using his hands, and he used his sidelines as a 12th defender. Again, not giving Ron Johnson room to work.
Rooney good to punt again. Gets off a better one this time. But it takes a Michigan bounce back to the 41. Let's go back to Reese in the studio.
Guys, Ken Dorsey has thrown 4 interceptions all season long. Coming into today, he'd thrown 3 against Boston College, up 9-7. Dorsey picked off by Scott Bradley, the 4th pick of the day. Look at that depth. The backer got 3-6. Come up with the turnover for BC. It's 9-7 Miami.
See, Chris, and sometimes you think Reese doesn't listen to us.
Yeah, he does listen to us. He knows. He understands.
Gonzalez in the game now for Michigan. And he's sacked back to the 30-yard line by Bradley Vance, who was not fooled in the least. That's the 6'1 freshman who switched to linebacker after White moved to defensive end earlier in the year. Nice play by him.
Very nice play. And you know, the Michigan team knows that, okay, we're going to bring our young quarterback Gonzalez in. And Minnesota knows this. So what passes do they run with Gonzalez? Well, guess what? Every time he's throwing a pass, the first pass he's been in, it's been a bootleg. Minnesota knows that and did a great job of reacting. Bradley Vance, show him burst and closing the gate in front of the ball.
Look at this, an empty formation by the Wolverines.
Quarterback draw, get people spread out.
They run out of it. Gonzalez out near the 35. It'll be 3rd down and about 6 to go. Isom pushing him out of bounds.
Isom did a good job of defeating the block of Askew. He's played a solid game for stepping in. Really has.
And now Navarre in the game along with Gonzalez. They've run a couple of trick plays with both these guys in the lineup before.
It's a good formation again for the future of getting your opponents ready to play. You got to account for Gonzalez out there, knowing that he can throw the football. Although I do believe he'll be a decoy this play.
He split wide to the top of the screen. Navarre. Oh! Caught by Walker at the 40. Hands of glue. Marquise Walker with a 1st down at the Minnesota 40-yard line.
That was a great throw by Navarre, getting the ball over the outstretched arms of the linebackers. You'll see it right here. He's got a chance to make a play, and it's over the top. Now, one of the problems with that was a defensive lineman dropping back in the zone blitz, and he doesn't understand where the sticks are. If he doesn't understand where the sticks are, Nevy's got to understand the sticks are back there. I got to get to the sticks to make him throw over me to get my safeties in the game.
Askew on the run, pulling down to the 35-yard line. Let's go back and take a look at some of the great catches, and one in particular that sticks out in our minds. Michigan against Iowa a few weeks ago, Marquise Walker. Look at this catch, Chris.
Does a little shake and bake to beat the corner, uses his hands. Bam! Like snagging a one-handed rebound. Great awareness, agility, and I'll tell you what pro scouts will love about him. He's size. He's 6'3", 219 pounds. That's what's in vogue now in the NFL, those big, tall receivers.
He's looking Walker's way and finds him. Brought down shy of the 30 by Isom. Just under a minute to play here in the 3rd quarter. Michigan with a 14-point lead.
See right here is Routner. He's going to push him up the field. He's going to come back to the football. The ball's delivered. Now you got to get upfield. Isom does a nice job keeping him in front of him. Tackle him with his head up.
He just tied David Terrell on the Michigan leader career list with 152 catches.
He's moving in on all his buddy AC.
Yep. 3rd down and 1. Perry. Looks like he got the 1st down at the 29-yard line. Michigan really starting to control the scoreboard and the clock. Effective with the run and the pass offensively. Easing the worries and concerns of some of their followers after that Michigan State game, a game in which they lost controversially right at the end. But Lloyd Carr's team has responded in kind. They lead as we come back soon for the fourth quarter. Back for the beginning of the fourth quarter. I'm Mark Jones along with Chris Spielman and Holly Rowe. Michigan leads Minnesota 24-10. First down and 10 from Minnesota's 30. Here's the reverse to Walker. And pushed out of bounds and a late flag at the 10. White was there and he may have come a little bit late.
They're going to give John Navarre in an offensive line meeting room and says, here's how you block downfield, because he's 3 for 3. See him right here. Again, it's a reverse. They've had success on it. There's John Navarre pulling out. Right there, Jack Brewer. Don't jump inside of blocks. Especially on a reverse, you have to force the ball back inside. You see White coming there to finish off the play. He's got to pull off of that. You got to pull off that. Be a smart football player. Give great effort.
Might be a little bit of frustration on his part. First and goal. After that 18-yard pickup. Perry. Touchdown.
Great job by the offensive line getting surged, and Perry showing some nastiness. Running up there without hesitation, put his head down. Hey, straight line, touchdown.
Really impressed with the way, Chris, that Perry runs between the tackles. Epstein with the extra point. Michigan leads 31-10. The second half has belonged to the maize and blue. Number 23 and his teammate in the backfield, too. Number 35. Right here, it was Perry. He's very, very good. We'll be right back. A panoramic view of the big house here in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Michigan Stadium. Wolverines leading 31-10. Epstein kicking off. Barber at the 3. And shot down immediately to the 15. Marlon Jackson. Let's take a look at our ESPN2 game track. B.J. Askew started things off and set the tenor of this game with a couple of touchdown runs for the Wolverines in the first half. And then Tyrese Butler with a blocked punt set up a two-play scoring drive for Michigan, which really put them in control. And then Perry on the reverse to Bell. 19-yard touchdown strike by the Wolverines. Here's Burns. Complete out to the 28-yard line. Let's go back and find out what's happening for Greece with the Buckeyes.
The Buckeyes, Mark, are getting a plethora of safeties. You don't see two safeties in one game very often. Brandon Hance, Matt Williams going to corral him. That safety's all on Hance. Got to get rid of the ball as I analyze, but I got permission from Mark May. Buckeyes up 21-9. Miami can't get touchdowns. Got another field goal from Todd Severs up on BC, 12-7.
All right, Reese. Abdul Khalik on the quarterback draw. Tackled at the 34 by Larry Stevens. Things very tight in the Big Ten. Hence some of the motion you see on the field right now. But Michigan and Illinois tied at 4-1. Followed by Michigan State, Purdue, and Ohio State at 3-2.
If Ohio State wins today, they're in control of their own destiny because they have Illinois and Michigan left on their schedule. And if Michigan wins out, they win it all because they beat Illinois. And don't forget about Michigan State.
Michigan said they're looking at these last three games basically as a three-game season. Well, of course, they got the last one against the Buckeyes. Second down and 6 right now for Minnesota. Barber brought down at the 35. Holly, what's up with Travis Cole?
Guys, remember, Minnesota was a 2-quarterback team going into the system, and both quarterbacks have started, Asad Khalik and Travis Cole. But we haven't seen Travis Cole at all today. In fact, he's mentally not even in this game. He's down at the end of the sideline. He hasn't been standing by the coaches really game planning or staying involved. That leads me to believe there won't be a quarterback change, but he's known as the better thrower. You've got to wonder why down 31-10, we're not seeing something else to help the passing game execute.
Clint Mason searching for answers. Barber looking to throw on the halfback option. Nice cutback out to the 43-yard line. And Marion Barber gets the first down for Minnesota.
Shows a lot of move and shake for a freshman. Awareness of the football field. And a great cutback, nice vision. And this is a pass all the way. You'll see him reverse his field. That's number 90 right there. He's going to eventually make the play. There's a nice move. A great hustle by a defensive lineman.
Norman Huer making the play for Michigan.
Big Norman doing some damage, running around.
Big three-step drop. Complete to Burns. And Burns has another go for first down to the Michigan 38.
Todd Howard with a missed tackle. Uncharacteristic of Todd, but a nice throw by Abdul Khalik.
He can throw that deep out, can't he, Chris?
Yeah, that's a long throw to make, and that's a tough throw to make because if it's inside, it can go for 6 the other way. Nice cut after the catch. Then getting straight up the field, trying to make something happen. That's a good job of rack yards, run after catch.
19-yard gain on the play. Abdul Khalik corralled at the 48-yard line by Shante Orr. Another tackle for loss.
Well, that play was pulled up by
Shante Orr.
Yeah, Rumschick did a nice job of pulling the play up, forcing Khalik to go back to the other side. Shante Orr, with great second effort, getting a sack. But Rumschick did a great job of pulling it up. You're not going to fool him too many times on the bootleg.
Now, those ends are pretty wise and savvy. There's Barber, the third, still on his feet. Marion Barber, the third, down to the 23, but there's a flag down to the 37.
Yeah, now what I saw, Mark, was I saw a Michigan defender tackle a blocker, number 68, Derek Burns from Minnesota. They got a legal chop block.
Now this one going against the Gophers. Glenn Mason told our Holly Road halftime that they had to reduce the number of penalties in the second half.
We've got more big penalties, a couple big ones. Personal foul.
During the play, illegal crackback on the offense, 15 yards from the spot of the foul. Repeat, second down.
If you're going to crack back, you got to crack above the waist.
That's something that's really been a hot topic in football of late. The old crack black.
Yeah, you'll see it right here. Come in on the left. Darren Cato Jr., you got to block above the waist. You can career guy doing that. And that's a penalty I thought they called where the guy tackled Derek Burns, the center. Right. But if you crack back, come on. Show your courage. Hit him high. Guy's not protected.
There's Marion Barber again. Getting a good jump back to the 41. Marlon Jackson, the corner, making the tackle on the play. Folks, more college football coming up your way, this time on ABC, 3:30 Eastern Time. Penn State taking on number 14, Illinois. A game of huge interest in this region. Kansas State against number 2, Nebraska. North Carolina State, Florida State. And number 7, Oregon against 16, UCLA. And on the West Coast only, Stanford also in action. 3rd down and 12. Throws it up. Incomplete, no flag on the play. Todd Howard defending.
He had Ron Johnson there for a second, but again, he didn't throw the ball quick enough, and Todd Howard, being a savvy veteran that he is, does a great job of looking and leaning and knocking the ball down. See, he's got a beat there. Look at Todd Howard, look and lean. That's almost interference. Probably is interference, but he got away with it, but he does a nice job of turning his head back, looking for the football. See that right arm up there in that shoulder pad? Could have been called for interference, but since he wasn't called, it's a great defensive play by Todd Howard.
Rooney couldn't lay it inside the 10. Michigan will start off on its own 20-yard line. A frustrating day for Glenn Mason, who says, you know what, I still haven't seen that jug. We'll be right back.
ESPN2's presentation of college football is brought to you by Chevy. The cars you can depend on, the cars that last. We'll be there. And by Miller High Life.
Minnesota trailing Michigan right now, 31-10, as we have 10:26 to play in the fourth. Here's Parent. Run down at the 23. Let's go to Reese in the studio.
Mark Sooner's starting to wear down the Aggies a little bit. Long drive is going to be finished off by Nate Hibble. Trying to throw it, Nate going to take off running. Had some shoulder problems. Came up a little gimpy after this, but he scored the touchdown, and the Sooners on top at home, 24-10 over A&M.
Can't afford to lose another quarterback. Oklahoma already lost White. The knee injury.
Yeah. Second down and 6. Minnesota blitzing. Vance makes the stop on the play. On Askew. Michigan Stadium, arguably one of the best atmospheres in all of college football for a game as you look at the, well, just a sea of maize and blue. They've led the NCAA in attendance in 26 of the last 27 seasons. You come here and you just absorb a game sometimes.
And it's filled with tradition. It's a great place to play if you're a Michigan player, and as an opponent to come in here. It's such a challenge to come in here and play. It's a wonderful place.
Far incomplete, intended for Marquise Walker. Over 110,000 in attendance today. 110, 828. When this place was first built, it held just 70,000. They just seem to keep expanding. In fact, I'm told by Michigan officials that this place can still be expanded. They just shoehorn them in.
Make the seats smaller.
It's like taking that D train uptown in New York. Epstein's punt rolls all the way down near the 30.
Kick is down at the Minnesota 31.
Well, so far you can color this day maize and blue. Michigan in control when we come back. Wolverines leading 31-10, and also atop the Big Ten standings, 4-1 so far, tied with Illinois. Minnesota 3-5 in the season. They've won 2 of their last 3, but under the gun right now to start to get with the program. Abdul Khalik passing incomplete, intended for Burns. And Chris Spielman, you know, coming into this game, we were talking about the potential for a hangover for Michigan. So far, we haven't seen it. They've come out, they've played solidly in all phases of the game.
Well, they wanted to establish a running game. They've done that today, Mark. And the thing that Lloyd Carr said that was so profound was that this team's legacy will be defined on how they play today. They certainly answered that challenge.
The running game especially has been good for Michigan. Askew, Perry also doing a great job. Second down and 10. Abdul Khalik complete near the 35-yard line. That was Henderson. Set up a third down and about 6 to go for Minnesota, as the clock now becoming their enemy.
They almost want to think you want to start to go to the no-huddle 2-minute type offense, because Michigan's DBs are starting to line up those little 3-yard hitch routes. Getting awful antsy.
Minnesota 5 of 14 in third downs today. Thomas Tepe has the first down, still on his feet.
The big guy can run right there.
Tepe brought down perhaps by his face mask at the 14. Number 44 has been bothered by injuries the last couple of years, but when healthy, he shows you what he can do.
A couple flags.
Will this one stand? A 50-yard pickup if it holds.
One thing you saw was a big man with some acceleration. Man, he hit that hole and he was down those sidelines. He's a big man. Glenn Mason really high on him. Said he could be the most talented of his running backs out of Redmond and Barber. And you got this guy coming.
We're going to do this one again, offsetting penalties. Thomas Tepe showed you some of his explosiveness.
It's kind of been that day for Coach Mason, the Golden Gophers. A lot of penalties to set them back.
Folklore has it, Chris, that number 44 right there in practice a couple of years ago knocked out Karan Riley with one of his thighs running right over him in practice.
That's a nice thigh to do that. It's a weapon.
Lethal. 3rd down and 6.
We're waiting for him to explode onto the scene. And if he can stay healthy, he can do some damage.
He's had some foot problems, some chronic foot problems, which have kept him out of the lineup. 3rd down and 6 for Minnesota. It's Tepe again. And this time they're waiting on him, bringing him down at the 37. Hewer making the stop. Let's go to Reese in the studio.
All right, Mark, Boston College in Miami. Eagles trying to get closer. This is Kevin McMyler. Chip shot, field goal. Lifted outside right. Boston College denied. It's still a 5-point lead, but the Eagles have the ball back again. 28-9 now. Ohio State pouring it on against Purdue. Belisari with another huge day, Chris.
Belisari, Chris, you said that he was starting to play better offensively. He was showing signs anyway.
Well, you know what? He's been getting a lot of criticism down there. He's a good athlete, and the whole offense is playing better. Thus, Steve is playing better, and plus his feet are becoming a factor in the offense. He's a great athlete, can do damage with his arm and his feet.
Well, college football continues a little bit later today, 3:30 on ESPN. It's East Carolina against Cincinnati. Signal caller David Garrard in East Carolina look to remain undefeated in Conference USA. They're tied with Louisville. Give the Cards a run in the conference. Cincinnati, meanwhile, at 4-1. First down and 10.
That's a competitive conference, that Conference USA. You get some good football players out of that.
First and 10. That was number 8, Walter Cross, his 2nd carry of the afternoon. And Jack Brewer, once again, the leading tackler in the conference, making the tackle on that play.
Why did you call wing there?
Jack Brewer's not afraid to stick his nose up in there for safety. I'll tell you, he makes a lot of plays around the line of scrimmage.
Ball's now at the 20-yard line. It's 2nd down 7.
2nd down and 7. There's a look at Brewer. A bit of a liaison between Coach Mason and the players. A guy that really keeps things settled in the locker room. True leader. 2nd down and 7, meanwhile, for Michigan.
There he is again.
Yeah, Jack Brewer bringing the hammer. Made another tackle. Hits just keep on coming if you're Jack Brewer.
You can tell you got to get a ice tub after a game. As many hits as he gets. Phil Archer does a nice job there too. But you're going to get a steady dose of Michigan running the football. Again, this is great confidence for their offensive line to be able to establish a running game. They have 241 yards rushing the football, Mark, coming in. They were one of the bottom teams in the Big Ten, only averaging 135 yards on the ground. Kind of an anti-Bo, bizarro world Bo.
Yeah, it sure is. 3rd down and 3. Navarre in the rollout, the waggle. The big fella can run a little bit, gets the 1st down at the 34. Let's check in with Reese.
All right, Mark, Memphis always plays Tennessee with a chip on his shoulder. The Tigers already down 7-0 when the Iceman coming for the ball. Casey Crawford going out there to Troy Fleming for the touchdown. The Big Orange up 14-0 in the second.
In the corner, wide open.
Recent back here, it's 1st down and 10. And Chris, as you intimated a few seconds ago, probably going to see a lot of smash mouth, just grind the clock out now for Michigan.
I think so, and again, it gives them a chance to develop an attitude as far as running the football. They've been in some close games this year. Now they got a chance to bury somebody. Let them run it and see what they can do.
Here's Cross out near the 40 at the 39-yard line. 2nd down and about 6 to go. Archer making the stop on the play. Let's go downstairs to Holly.
Guys, Minnesota's already thin secondary, starting to take another toll today. Their starting cornerback, Mike Lehan, is out of the game with an injury. It looks like he's got an injured leg. He is limping around on the sideline and will not return. Also, Greg White, their great defensive end, he is out. Undisclosed injury. They will not say what it is, but he has his helmet in his hand. Doesn't look like he's coming back.
Yeah, the defense on the field. He should be out there if he was healthy, you would think. 2nd down and 6. Cross again. Archer again on the tackle.
You know, they're battling, though. I'll tell you, I give credit to the go and go for defense. They're not quitting, and why I say that, especially Archer and Brewer, both those guys have been very active. Their defensive line is hanging in there. They just got wore down, Mark. Michigan has controlled the ball the whole second half, especially up front. They're really starting to get some push on that front seven.
Michigan offensive line. And people forget, they got off to a bit of a slow start for some people's liking, Chris, but they did lose 3 starters. But right now, starting in the NFL.
Yeah, the center's a backup at Kansas City. They lost 4 guys in the NFL.
Gaping holes again up front as Cross is brought down by Brewer, but not after he gained the first down out to the 47-yard line. The clock in Michigan's favor, 4:05 to play. 6 rushes consecutively so far by the Wolverines on this drive. We go under 4 minutes to play. First down and 10.
Get Walter Cross involved, and like you reiterated earlier, Mark, that Michigan just seems to reload. And when you have Cross coming in as your third tailback, it's pretty stout backfield.
Gonzalez now, Chris, in at quarterback. He hands it off. And there's Cross again, flagged down at the midfield mark. And Cross is brought down at about the 41-yard line. Folks, today's telecast of Minnesota-Michigan is being seen live around the world by U.S. servicemen and women and their families through the facilities of the American Forces Radio and TV service. And all of us here at ESPN would like to send out our thoughts and prayers to those serving our country so loyally around the world.
Absolutely. It's the least we can do.
Very thankless, sometimes underappreciated task. But no doubt a significant one, especially at this time.
Absolutely.
3:32 to play. I'm Mark Jones along with Chris Spielman and Holly Rowe on a sunny, brisk, cool day here in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Number 13th ranked Michigan Wolverines leading 31-10, looking for their 13th consecutive victory against Minnesota. First down and 15. Nice run again. Underwood that time getting the chore.
And there's another one. Just keep reloading the tailback, and there's a big freshman for you running there. Showing vision, experience, and patience for a freshman running back, following his blockers, then showing a burst to the outside. Jack Brewer chasing him down from the backside, never quitting or giving up. That's his 15th tackle on a day, averaging 16 tackles a game, Mark, in the Big Ten. You see why. Somebody's got to help him out there, boys. Come on.
His uniform's not too clean. First down and 10. Flag down, and Underwood down again, brought down by Karsten. Looks like a face mask is going to be called on this one.
Well, Brandon did a good job of penetrating and getting penetration and making a play. Giving a personal foul face mask. Let's take a look at it here. Ooh. Yeah, he's got to let go of that. Oh. See if he got the top of his helmet here. Maybe his fingers got caught in the face mask. I'm trying, Brandon.
You're such a defensive player.
I can't, no.
You're a shameless defender.
It looks almost like the, not a Damian Robinson imitation quite, but almost like the double eye gouge.
Right.
Let it go there.
First down and 10. Ball on the 24-yard line.
That's harder to do than you think, Mark. Because you get a hold of the face mask. Sometimes you don't know it's the guy's face mask that you have.
Underwood again. Down to the 20. Brewer with his 16th stop of the game. Hey, Chris. So I look out over the big house in the stadium here, over 100,000 in attendance. What's your favorite memory of playing here against Michigan?
Well, probably, Mark, in 1987, Earl Bruce, the head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes, in my last year, was fired a week before the Michigan game. And he never let that firing take effect. We came up here to Michigan with the Earl headbands and all that kind of thing, showed us solidarity as a team. We came out with a victory against Michigan. My last game at Ohio State, one that I'll always remember.
Beat a very talented Michigan team that year, huh? Underwood again, down to the 17.
Well, Michigan's always talented, but, you know, we had a rough year. We lost Chris Carter, a guy that we expected to have back, and Chris went on to the pros that year. And, we kind of struggled. We were 6-4-1, and Earl got fired after we got beat by Iowa in the last home game. But we came up here and finished away an Ohio State team we feel was supposed to finish to win at Michigan. The last time an Ohio State team has beat the Wolverines in the Big House.
A little mark of history right there from Chris Spielman. As we approach 1 minute to play in the game, Michigan leading 31-10. Underwood brought down to the 16 by Jack Brewer. We'll call him Casey Kasem instead because the hits keep coming with him.
Jack lost his helmet. It's all right, Jack. Keep going, kid. Never quit. Showing a lot of toughness. Really is, man. I can see why Mace called him his favorite and best captain that he's ever had on a football team.
Now with a win today, Michigan has now defeated Minnesota 13 consecutive times.
Yeah, there comes a jug. Look at it. There's a jug.
Little brown jug.
Somebody's got to show it to Mace. He said he's never seen it.
Well, Michigan certainly knows what it looks like. It's been in Ann Arbor for the last 13 years under heavy guard, as Holly Rowe pointed out a little earlier. Let's check in with Holly.
Hey guys, the man getting it out is the equipment manager for Michigan. He's been here since 1972. His name is John Falk. He told me that the biggest fear he has in his life is having something happen to this jug. It is going to be a mark of his retirement that he had a successful career if he can get out of here without breaking the thing.
If we only knew where that jug has been, huh?
The guardian of the jug.
Brewer making the tackle on Cross. And that's the final play of the ball game. Michigan defeating Minnesota 31-10, the final. We'll be back to wrap things up from Ann Arbor in just a bit.
Impala. My dad.
Michigan wins 31-10. They improve to 7-2 overall, 5-1 in the Big Ten. Let's go downstairs to Holly.
I'm here with the starting tailback from today, Chris Perry. Chris, this team had some adversity last week, but do you feel like you handled it well today?
Oh, yeah, I feel like we handled it real well. You know, we came back from a disappointing loss up in Michigan State, and we came out here to a home crowd and showed them what we could do.
Seems like you set an attitude early with the running game really establishing that.
Yeah, we didn't run it too well last week, so we wanted to come out here and prove to everybody that we can run the ball. You know, we have a young offense, and we got some young backs back there, so we wanted to come out and show everybody that we can run.
Was there any doubt in your mind that you could come out, finish out the big season strong? You feel that you have that kind of belief in this team?
Oh, yeah, of course. You know, we're going to finish the season strong, you know, try to make it to a BCS, do what we can do. And now it's time to look to next week on Wisconsin and focus on that team. Enjoy the win for tonight, and tomorrow start working again.
Thanks very much, Chris. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
All right, thanks a lot, Holly. Michigan talked about making the last 3 games a very successful part of their season. Still looking, as you heard, at a BCS bowl and a big payday subsequently as well. Michigan winning 31-10. For Chris Spielman, Holly Rowe, and our entire crew, I'm Mark Jones. This has been a presentation of ESPN, worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. Right now, let's go to Reese and Mark in the studio.
Glad to have you with us on the College Game Day scoreboard. Reese Davis, Mark May here. Mark, Michigan just finishing off Minnesota 31-10. You can make it 13 straight meetings for the Little Brown Jug. Minnesota hasn't taken it home since 1986, as you heard. But it appeared early in this game maybe that Michigan had a little bit of a hangover from that disappointment against Michigan State last week.
Well, I believe they had. And if you look at this game from last week, they got to the quarterback 12 times last week, but they weren't able to run the football. And their defense gave over 200 yards rushing to T.J. Duckett. So they came out in this game. They didn't deliver that knockout punch early. It was almost like they were jabbing left and right with Minnesota and playing around with them. But when they finally settled down, they started to get physical and run the football. That's what they really do best. And that's when they controlled the line of scrimmage. And that's when they controlled this football game, when they started to run the football, Reese.
And from Minnesota's standpoint, the Gophers will not be going to a bowl now. That's their 6th loss. Glenn Mason hoping to build on that and was unable to do so. Michigan, meanwhile, still continuing to control its destiny in the Big Ten and in hopes, as you heard after the game, talking about the BCS bid. Michigan State knocked off Michigan a week ago in the final tick of the game, and they're coming down late again against Indiana, 31-28. IU with the lead. Antoine Randall has broken D. Dallas's Division 1A record for most rushing yards by a quarterback. He has 128 on the day. He needed 116 to go past Dallas. And, of course, Randall also becoming the first 7,000, 3,500 man in 1A history, but he was already the first 6,000, 3,000 man as far as passing and rushing go. And Michigan State trailing by 3 points and still about 7 and change left to go in that game. Michigan State, the last 5 times they've beaten the top 10 team, Mark, bounced back and lost the following week, and they're trailing in this one. The Big Ten, Purdue.